Night had settled over the palace, and Ming lay quietly beneath the gauzy canopy of his bed. The curtains had been drawn, casting a soft shadow across the room. In the corner, a maid assigned to keep watch had already dozed off on a couch by the window, her breathing steady and light. Being a prince in ancient times was far from glamorous. Power came with a price, constant scrutiny. What had once been manageable in childhood became burdensome with age. Every movement, every word, every breath, watched, judged, recorded. And these palace servants? Their livelihoods were tied to his. They were trained to notice everything, especially the unusual. If someone noticed anomalies in how he manipulated the game, suspicion could take root. In a place like this, whispers grew into accusations. Just one wrong move, and he could be branded with the darkest of crimes, witchcraft. That's why he was careful now. Very careful. Fortunately, it was an idle game. As long as it ran in the background, his stats would continue to grow. No flashy actions required. No risk. He pulled up the interface, quietly admiring his progress. Name, Ming. Sex, male. Title, Third Prince of the Dakian Dynasty. Age, 21 years, 1 month. Energy, 306/428. Chi in blood, 4,500/4,508, 100%. Internal strength, 8,730 in steady growth. Appearance, 30. Arm strength, 63/30. Comprehension, 43/23. Agility, 60/27. Root bone, 72/35. Real-time status, excellent. System evaluation, unparalleled. His attributes had long exceeded his natural limits, honed through constant passive grinding. Yet strangely, he remained within the confines of the sect map in-game, dueling fellow disciples, trading broken silver for white-tier hidden weapons. One thing nagged at him. Why hadn't he unlocked martial arts techniques yet? That changed tonight. For the first time, his master, who usually responded with generic, pre-programmed phrases, opened a new dialogue window. Tang Feng, disciple, come see me. Tang Feng, you have studied under me for many years and have now mastered the basics of martial arts. It's time to leave the mountain and explore the world. Tang Feng, with your skills, few threats await you in the wilderness. But beware, the human heart is more venomous than any Tang sect poison. Tang Feng, take this. It was once my trusted weapon. Consider it a gift before your journey. A new window popped up. You've received a hidden weapon, shadowless, wooing. Accept. Of course, he accepted. Tang Feng, you've built up resistance to most poisons through long-term practice. It's time you learn to create your own. Tang Feng, I entrust you with this secret tome, Tang Sect Poison Techniques. Study it well. Never share it. Tang Feng, this world is vast and cruel. Remember, never disgrace the Tang Sect. Ming's heart stirred with excitement. Thank you, Master. I understand. He unequipped the low-tier Iron Lotus Seed and replaced it with Shadowless. A translucent needle slid between his fingers, so sharp, so precise, it was barely visible. A true assassin's tool. Back on the game interface, a new button had appeared beside Sect Grounds. A blue label reading, Jianghu. I can actually roam the martial world now. What was more surprising was the timing. Just as he planned a trip to Liaodong in real life, the game responded by unlocking the Jianghu map. For 14 years, there had been nothing, and now this. A connection between the game and reality? The possibility couldn't be ignored. And then there was the age discrepancy. How the system have the years he'd lived in his past life. What if I reached the Grandmaster level in the game, could I return to my original world? The thought struck like lightning. Then he shook his head. No, don't dwell on fantasies. Focus. He tapped the game avatar with his mind, letting out a quiet chuckle. Step by step, it will all come together. He filed the Tang Sect Poison Technique into the virtual book box, then opened the backpack tab and saw a newly added entry, Medicine Pouch. Upon clicking it, 3 tabs appeared, Formulas, Products, and Ingredients. Only now did he realize, despite his years of practicing basic poison resistance, he hadn't learned any actual poison recipes. That was about to change. He activated auto-study mode for the new poison technique. But studying, like cultivating inner strength or sparring, couldn't be done simultaneously. That was another reason his potential points were always stretched thin. Sun Mingche sighed. I wonder what kind of poisons I'll learn first. As anticipation hummed in his veins, sleep quietly stole over him. Your Highness, Your Highness. Morning light filtered in through the window. A gentle voice stirred him from sleep. I slept in, he thought with a click of the tongue. Last night went late. He opened his eyes and coughed lightly. At once, the maid rolled up the bed curtain, and the palace routine began. A maid handed him a cup of light tea to rinse his mouth. Another held the spittoon. Jianlan, the top maid responsible for his beverages, presented a warm cup of jasmine tea. Mo Lan and her assistants brought in neatly folded clothes and ornate accessories. Life as a favored prince was indulgent, organized, precise, efficient. Breakfast followed. Hamlin entered with today's meal, laid out with the usual care. 8 dishes total, 2 dry, 2 meats, 2 vegetables, 1 porridge, and 1 soup. Today's selection: 8 treasure steamed buns, sesame pancakes, rouge goose breast, salt-roasted pigeon eggs, stir-fried wolfberry sprouts, braised winter bamboo shoots, barley and osmanthus porridge, lotus leaf soup. It looked like a feast, but the portions were modest. By the time he was 80% full, he set down his chopsticks and hesitated. Should I bring a cook with me? Because once he left the palace, delicious food will become a rare luxury out there. That settled it. Better prepare ahead of time. Early morning, outside the gates of the capital, along the Grand Avenue, chaos bloomed. Cries echoed through the misty air, sharp and melodramatic, as if mourning a battlefield tragedy. Chinny's wailing pierced the sky, echoing the sorrow once found in Du Fu's military chariots. But this wasn't about conscription or dying for the empire. It was about the capital's pampered young masters being shipped off to Liaodong for military training. Their households, upon receiving the imperial edict, were stunned into frantic motion, packing in a rush, holding back tears, and clinging to their sons as if they were being dragged to exile. Then word came from the residence of the third prince. No concubines, no personal chefs, no armadas of servants. Each young master could only bring 4 personal servants, and their entire luggage had to fit in a single carriage. A disaster. Unthinkable. But with the emperor firmly behind the third prince, no one dared defy the instructions. These noble families weren't fools. When the third prince sent a message, they understood it was the emperor's will in disguise. Some tried to wiggle through loopholes, petitioning Li Guogong's household, seeking help from powerful connections. Then came a small mercy, thanks to Lu Buohong acting on Sinmingche's signal. Servants are restricted, but family members aren't. Each young master could now bring 50 retainers under the guise of family support staff, a technical allowance with a harsh warning. Any violations of military law would be punished without exception. The result? A ridiculous spectacle. Dozens of households lined the roadside with matching uniforms and servants standing in formation like toy soldiers, puffing out their chests and trying to look valiant. Sun Mingche surveyed the parade from horseback, lips curling in contempt. This wasn't an outing. It was a march. Duke Ligua had outfitted Sun Mingche with 50 household guards of his own, trained, disciplined, mounted on sturdy field horses. Not cavalry, of course. That would be treasonous, but enough to maintain order. They weren't show ponies, either. These were durable beasts bred for endurance. As Duan Changshi once wrote in Yuyang Zizu, 8-foot horses are for war, 7-foot for the field, 6-foot for slaves. By that measure, Sun Mingche's steed was a true war horse. Alongside him, 500 pavilion guards rode with precision. 2,000 foot soldiers from the capital garrison follow behind. The pavilion guards, an elite force under direct imperial command, could bypass bureaucracy and report to the throne without interference. Their presence alone was enough to keep these young lords in line. At Sinmingche's cold gaze, and none dared stir. At least, most didn't. There were always a few who hadn't gotten the message. From his high vantage point, Synmingche watched the chaos below. Some families were still weeping, clinging to their sons like they were bound for exile rather than a training camp. They had no idea just how lucky they were. "Your Highness," said a commander approaching on horseback. "It's time. The troops are ready." Synmingche nodded, then gave a few simple commands. "Escort them. Those who can ride, let them ride. Those who can't, load them into carriages. Anyone who refuses, remove them, but do not harm their families. A single misstep could turn discipline into scandal. Remind them, military law is absolute. My father initiated this reform to cure their arrogance. If they still refuse to learn, then file an official report. I will not be their babysitter." The commander saluted and turned to deliver the order. "And if they still don't behave?" Synmingche's eyes darkened. He wasn't just bluffing. He'd come prepared. Thanks to a certain game he played in secret, he'd recently learned a poison recipe, Yanji powder. Not lethal, not even truly dangerous, but cruelly effective. It didn't kill, it prolonged illness. A slow, gnawing kind of suffering that stretched on endlessly. Some desperate patients had used it to delay death, only to end their own lives out of unbearable pain. It was a poison designed not for death, but for control. Synmingche had already brewed a few doses, using ingredients from both the game and the real world. Thanks to his dual cultivation of Tang-sec poisons and basic poison skills, he had managed to produce 10 batches. The ingredients were limited, and the alchemy had a failure rate, but with each success, his proficiency increased. If any of these pampered fools fall ill and refuse discipline, then they will live. They will just suffer while doing it. As the convoy gathered below, Synmingche rode down from his hilltop and rejoined the ranks. He wasn't unreasonable. The rules applied to himself as well. Each person was allowed only 4 attendants. Each could only bring 1 carriage, but that carriage was theirs alone. That wasn't cruel. That was generous. Better than letting them camp outdoors and risk real dangers. Snakes, infections, disease. One snake bite without antivenom could kill a young master and cost Synmingche his head. So he compromised. Logistics, not cruelty. Riding up to He Qianhu, he issued one final directive. Have the pavilion guards keep close watch. No one leaves the formation, not in town, not in the wilderness. If anyone disappears, whether through their own stupidity or someone else's schemes, we will bear the blame. He knew exactly what kind of trouble these young lords could stir up. He would not give them the chance. No freedom, no parading about. Let them stew in their carriages like criminals, if necessary. The occasional walk on horseback was the most freedom they'd get. Their parents might hold power, but they didn't. And if Synmingche could deliver every single one of them back, alive and intact, their families would be grateful, not angry. Anyone foolish enough to rebel would regret it for a very long time.
Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
On the first day, everything was fine. After all, he was rushed into a team and sent out of the capital right in front of him. The environment was still unclear. He was not mentally retarded, and he still knew how to look at his features. For a dandy to become a dandy, on the one hand, the family must be rich and powerful. On the other hand, he must not seek advancement, and on the other hand, his family must be willing to clean up his mess. If he is really a rampant dash, how can he be liked and protected by the elders in the family? Moreover, on the first day, the real hardships have not yet begun, and the good things brought from home have not yet been eaten, so the dandies can tolerate it. Because there were 2,000 infantry behind them, and most of the dandy soldiers were on foot, the march was not very fast. Synmingche just held the horse's reins loosely and let the horse walk slowly. Your Highness, Your Highness. Suddenly a horse came up from behind, but it was the inner prisoner Yabai, brought by Synmingche. What's the matter? Your Highness, you are the young master of Rongwa Mansion and want to visit you. The young master of Rongwa Mansion, isn't it Jialien? Thinking of this, Sin Ming-che really became a little interested. Anyway, there is nothing to do now, so why not just meet Jiao Lian? Let him come over. Not long after, a black horse carried Jiao Lian to Sin Ming-che, just one horse's head behind him. Meet His Highness the Third Highness. Jiao Lian, your equestrian skills are pretty good. Your Highness has given you too much praise. This kid can't study and is afraid of hardship, so he can only play horse racing. Jiao Lian is not afraid to show his shortcomings. To be honest, he shouldn't be the one being thrown into this army of dandies. He hasn't reached that point yet. It should be his father Jiaxi, but his father had already accepted the title, so he had no choice but to push him out. After all, those things are all recorded on Jia's head. Speaking of which, Jiao Lian was an incompetent person, both civil and military, that if he studies literature, he can't read books. If he studies martial arts, he can't bear the hardship. But in terms of general affairs, that is, the mobilization of manpower and materials, as well as interpersonal communication, he is a good hand. Sin Ming-che thought that he had contributed to the incident of capital dandies going to Liaodong for military training and met Jiao Lian here, which could be regarded as the beginning of adapting the original work. So he wanted to give Jiao Lian a little boost. It can be considered fate. It's just a chance. Whether Jiao Lian can seize it or not is his own business. I have to say that Jiao Lian is really good at interpersonal communication. Seeing that Sin Ming-che acquiesced to him following him, he immediately began to fawn over him, making Sin Ming-che feel very happy. From the capital to Liaodong, at their current speed, it would take at least half a month. Just rushing along this way is quite boring, so why not just leave Jiao Lian to entertain himself? At night, of course, we didn't rush to any town, so we could only camp in the wilderness and bury pots to make rice. A dozen of the pavilion guards went out on horseback for a spin and shot a few rabbits and pheasants when they came back for extra meals. Some soldiers went to dig up some wild vegetables and boiled them into the soup to add flavor. To be honest, there really wasn't anything delicious to eat. The delicious food couldn't be stored, and it was inconvenient to carry. The dry food they brought was pancakes, which were big pancakes that were baked dry and as hard as rocks. When eating, just soak in a bowl of hot soup with a bit of salty and vegetable flavor. A bowl of zalihilu will be enough to fill your stomach. What else do you need for a bicycle? Today is the first day of departure, and I have brought some delicious food with me. I have to eat it quickly, otherwise it will go bad if I don't finish it. After I finish eating, I can only eat dry pancakes with soup. Seeing the situation, Thuja admired him in his heart. No wonder His Highness asked them to bring as much cured meat as possible. Only these things can be stored and convenient for eating on the road. Oh, by the way, what else is there? The base. Sin Ming-che had prepared a lot for this trip. Yabai, go and call the two Qianhis here. Let's eat this meal together. Lianair, don't leave either. Stay and eat. Yabai hurried away, and Jiao Lian was overjoyed. Does this count as a relationship with His Highness the Third? Sin Ming-che originally wanted to make hot pot base, but even if he was a prince, in this era, when cattle were an important labor force, it would be difficult to get enough butter. He had to use lard to make part of the hot pot base. Needless to say, although the taste is not as good as that made with butter, if it is tightly packed in a porcelain jar, the antiseptic effect should be good. This time, let's serve the 2,000 households with a base made of butter. The capital is in the north, more than 500 kilometers away from Liaodong, and the wind is still as cold as a knife. This salty and spicy hot pot base is boiled in the pot, and then some wild vegetables and bean skins are put in. It is hot and bubbling, and the fragrance spreads for thousands of miles. I don't know how many people secretly sniff their noses and use this smell to eat. He Qianhu and Gao Qianhu didn't come empty-handed. They carried a pheasant and a rabbit, presumably as filial piety from the people below. Just in time, let's put this piece of meat into the soup. It's a bit like making a rosy offering. Sin Ming-che greeted the two of them with a smile. Baxiagong is rabbit meat shabu-shabu, which is also a famous dish. With this said, the 2,000 households knew how to eat this pot of red soup. After all, there is no such way of eating it now. If Sin Ming-che said it too directly and looked a bit like a servant, it would inevitably make small-minded people unhappy. And using rabbit meat to say buxia gong points out that the way to eat this pot is the same as eating buxia gong. The words were tactful, made things clear, saved face, and made people feel comfortable. The 2,000 households happily took their seats. Your Majesty, the bottom of this pot is not ordinary. Ichinu took a piece of rabbit meat and put it in his mouth. He was shocked by the spicy taste, but the smell made him reluctant to spit the meat out. He swallowed the meat while inhaling, and his eyes lit up. In the bottom of this pot, 26 spices such as butter, onions, ginger, red pepper, star anise, pepper, cinnamon, and bay leaves are stir-fried, and mountain spring water is added to simmer for a long time, and then allowed to cool and solidify to form beef. Cut the pieces of oil into small pieces and wrap them in oil paper. When eating, only a small piece is enough for such a big pot. Sun Mingxie picked up a chopstick of wild vegetables that he hadn't eaten these things often, but he quite liked the taste. But there wasn't enough butter, so I later made a lot of it with lard. But the ones made with lard couldn't be made into solid pieces, so I had to put them in small porcelain jars and take them around. Zhao Yin is a fun-loving person, so he will praise him at the right time. I don't know who came up with this recipe. It's really convenient, fast, and delicious. It's really easy on my mouth. The 2,000 households immediately responded. Yes, this is really a good idea. I wonder how the person who came up with it is so smart. Not bad, to be honest. This is the most comfortable meal I have ever had on the road. Sun Mingxie waved his hand quickly. Stop boasting, I just imagined this thing. It's hard to believe that my cook actually made it. The three people immediately expressed their compliments again. Sun Mingxie still couldn't bear it and told them to stop boasting. But this pot is really delicious. Even the meat and vegetables and even the chickens and rabbits brought by the 2,000 households were all eaten. Gao Qinhu even scooped up a bowl of hot pot soup base, broke off a pancake as hard as a rock, soaked in the soup until it softened, and Shili Hulu ate a large bowl. This meal can be described as a feast for both the guest and the host. Thuja, bring 2 pieces of butter to the 2 Qianhis, and give a can of lard to Lien, heir. Returning to the carriage where he lived, Sun Mingxie asked Yabai to give away the base material. The base that Sun Mingxie asked the chef to make was not spicy. Although it was bright red, the chili pepper only enhanced the flavor. After all, this ingredient is not popular nowadays because the upper class considers it very indecent to sweat profusely and shed tears while eating spicy food. Besides, what should I do if it's too spicy and causes damage to someone's anus? This was during the march, and the 2,000 household had to ride horses. That would not be a show of goodwill, but an enmity. However, it is slightly spicy and refreshing, which is very comfortable on such a cold day. Sun Mingxie came up with an idea, and what he really did was a cook that I didn't expect this cook to be so good at his craftsmanship. I want to reward him again when I go back. This carriage is not the kind of small car in the TV series that can only seat one person, but a luxurious carriage that is 20 square meters wide. There are not only beds inside, but also a small tea room for entertaining guests, and even a small bathroom. There are various exquisite and compact mechanisms everywhere to store things stably. It can be said that although the Sparrow is small, it has all the 5 internal organs. Although luxurious, it is also standard equipment for the rich and powerful in this ER8. It shouldn't be called a carriage, but an RV. After all, this is military training rather than distribution, and it cannot make everyone feel too uncomfortable. But according to etiquette, the carriage rank of these dandies cannot exceed that of a prince. So Sun Mingxie cannot be too shabby. Therefore, Sun Mingxie just went with the flow and enjoyed a high-standard carriage. This was not his own carriage. It was lent to him by his father, the emperor. The bed in the carriage is about 1.2 meters wide and 1.9 meters long. It is fixed inside the carriage with a mortise and tenon structure to ensure that it will not shake. The bedding has been laid out, and there is a yubatsi stuffed inside. It is already warm and very attractive. These days, it is very comfortable to have such a bed to sleep on when traveling, not to mention that Sun Mingxie was tired after riding a horse for almost a whole day. As soon as he lay down, he quickly fell asleep. While sleeping soundly, Sin Mingche was suddenly awakened by the noise outside. Being woken up in the middle of the night can put anyone in a good mood. Thuja, what happened? Your Highness, Third Highness, is a descendant of the Bull family in Jinghua. He brought a bed-warmer girl with him and was doing something in the middle of the night. He was discovered by the brothers on night watch. Thuja also wants to curse. What a dirty talk. It is said that the 4 princes and 8 princes who founded the country have been passed down for several generations to this day. Except for a few 1 or 2 families, the rest are more and more unscrupulous children, and the more rumors spread, the lower their title. This Niu family is one of them. The Niu family was demoted to a first-class duke. When the country was founded, it was a first-class duke. Each generation was demoted 1 class. The current head of the family is the eldest son of the deceased Duke of Jinghua, and his title is only a first-class marquis. If he fails to achieve meritorious service and be promoted, the current person in the team will only be a first-class uncle. And this future first-class uncle, now the Prince of Jinghua, actually brought a woman with him even under the premise that Sin Mingche explicitly prohibited, repeatedly issued, and set an example not to bring maids in the team, and even started to do things on the first night, and actually got caught. What kind of retard is this? With a gloomy face, Sin Mingche changed his clothes, put on his cloak, and rushed to the scene while being served by the eunuch. From a distance, Sin Mingche could clearly hear someone shouting, "Our uncle is the eldest son and grandson of Duke Zhenghua. What are you doing? You will not do the following. I just brought a woman with me. What's the big deal? It's worth all the fuss you make." At this time, a cabinet guard who often followed, He Qianhu, quietly came over and explained the cause and effect to Sin Mingche. It turned out that the Niu prince was not bringing an ordinary maid, but his beloved concubine. This concubine was eager to be favored, and was afraid that Prince Niu would bring back a new favorite when he went out. So he tried his best to persuade Prince Niu, who was always inseparable from women, to let her dress up as a personal servant and follow her. After traveling all day, Prince Niu was bored to death. As soon as it gets dark, he drags his concubine with him and has sex with her. If he just surrendered in his own carriage, he would be surrounded by his family members, and no one else would know, and he could keep it secret for a while longer. But these 2 people didn't know what they were thinking. They just wanted to play something exciting, a wild battle. No, he was discovered by the night patrol guards, and then there was a big fuss. Sin Mingche had a headache hearing this. What a waste. What a rotten person. What non-recyclable garbage. So stupid. The key point is that Duke Ligua and Duke Xinghua are both princes and princes. Speaking of which, they can really be related. It is estimated that this kid still wants to rely on this relationship to let Sin Mingche give him face and keep this matter vague. Snort dream. Is he worthy? Sin Mingche, filled with anger, called Yabai and whispered a few instructions before walking over. Seeing that Sin Mingche was coming, the surrounding guards and soldiers immediately made way for him to lead his people in. His Majesty Niu, why make such a fuss? Sin Mingche stood opposite Niu Shitzi with a cold face. Niu Shitzi is already 30 years old, has a strong body, is married, and has children, so he is in his prime. But Sin Mingche could tell at a glance that this man was strong on the outside, but weak on the inside. He was addicted to sex and didn't like to exercise. He had long been a silver pewter gunhead, and he probably also took drugs. Moreover, this person has no brains and is completely ignorant of current affairs. For what he did, his father couldn't even say no to Sin Mingche no matter how he dealt with him. In his heart, Prince Niu actually looked down on Sin Mingche. In his heart, Sin Mingche is just a child with a yellow mouth. Even if he is a prince, he is from a family of 4 bastards. He's old enough to be this boy's father. Niu Shitzi felt that Sin Mingche should coax him nicely. He was already dissatisfied. You can only bring 4 people to wait on you. You can't bring women with you yet. He even dressed up his concubine as a servant before bringing her here, which was already a way of giving Sin Mingche face. Besides, the emperor has so many sons, but this one is missing. If the 3rd prince hadn't been recorded in the name of concubine Liang, he wouldn't have taken a serious look at the 3rd prince. His ancestor was the Duke of Jinghua. Being in charge of the family of concubine Liang and being the Duke of the country is a fateful relationship. With the relationship between the two families, he should be the elder of the third prince. How can the younger generation take care of the elder's affairs in the house? If Cin Mingxie were to know his thoughts, Cin Mingxie could only say that it is true that normal people cannot understand the brain circuits of fools. Niu Shizhi held a woman wearing blue servant clothes in one hand and held a wine bottle in the other. The family armor he brought was arranged on both sides, looking menacing. Seeing Cin Mingxie coming, he lazily raised his eyes and said, "I've met the third prince." Having said that, Prince Niu didn't even move. Cin Mingxie looked him up and down and suddenly sneered. "Come here. Capture Prince Niu. Kill those who block him. If anything happens, I will take care of it." Prince Niu was shocked and angry, and his eyes widened. "You dare!" At this time, He Qianhu and Gao Qianhu had received Cin Mingxie's signal, and their pavilion guards rushed forward like hungry tigers pouncing on food. Prince Niu's family is good at bullying good people, but how can they resist these elite palace guards who are like wolves and tigers? Now the birds and beasts disperse. Prince Niu, who was full of momentum just now, was tied up by the guards like a pig and was thrown in front of Cin Mingxie. Prince Niu has grown up so beautifully. How could he go through this? Then he yelled and cursed. Cin Mingxie ignored him and continued to bark like a mad dog. The concubine who brought Prince Niu here was chopped up in front of him. You dare! I am a crown prince. The crown prince of the Zhengua Ho mansion. My grandfather is the founding duke of Zhengua. Niu Shizi's eyes were about to burst. Cin Mingxie sneered coldly. How dare I not? Execution! The concubine's crying Li Huadayu was torn apart by several palace guards, and his clothes were messy. He stumbled and knelt in front of Niu Shizi. The Gui's waist knife was unsheathed. A cold light flashed, and blood spurted out more than 10 feet high. Niu Shizi was sprayed with blood all over his face, and because he kept yelling, blood even spurted into his mouth. He smacked his lips in a daze, his eyes widened, staring at the twitching concubine who fell to the ground and gradually stopped moving. Prince Niu rolled his eyes and fainted. There was a puddle of wetness underneath him, and he was actually scared to the point of peeing. Cin Mingxie turned his face with another breathtaking expression. Please, and Qianhu send out 2 pavilion guards together with my men to send Niu Shizi and his party back to the capital. Regarding today's matter, I will write a letter of apology to my father, and I will also ask the 2 Qianhu report truthfully. No matter what, the scene still has to be passable. Gao Qianhu, please take the palace guard with you tomorrow to check carefully whether there are any fish that have slipped through the net around Mr. Wang's Sunday. He Qianhu and Gao Qianhu both clasped their fists and said yes. Cin Mingxie maintained a flawless smile, returned to his carriage, and breathed a long sigh of relief. It would be really beneficial for him to have this great prince jump out. By killing this chicken, those monkeys should be able to be honest for a while longer. Looking at the time, there was still enough time for him to get some sleep. Keep your spirits up. There will be a lot of things to do tomorrow. The next morning, as soon as Cin Mingxie got up, Thuja gave him a snack and a cup of strong tea with a wink. Okay, I won't say anything else. I'm sure I'll be very busy today. As soon as the cabinet guard takes action, he will know whether it is there or not. He and Qianhu allocated 100 people to escort the Niu family and the others. They rushed to the capital on the spot last night and expected to arrive today. Therefore, He Qianhu came to ask for instructions whether to camp on the spot and wait for instructions from the capital, or to continue on his way. Gao Qianhu checked the family members and servants of each family in the morning. Not to mention, he also found out that the young master of the 2 families was with a woman. The ones here are either concubines or concubines. Simply bullshit. Do you think this is an outing? Still thinking about warm words and red sleeves, adding fragrance. Then, Gao Qianhu also came over to ask for instructions on what to do with the 2 families found out. Cin Mingxie received the 2 Qianhis in the small tea room in the car. Thuja drank tea, then withdrew with a wink, and stood guard at the door of the carriage. He Qianhu, We will stay here for a while and wait for the decree from the capital. Sun Mingxie thought for a moment and then ordered, Gao Qianhu, which two are they, knowingly committing the crime? His Royal Highness Hui San is a descendant of the families of Duke Xianxiu and Duke Xianxiu, another member of the bastard family. Sun Mingxie now knew why the Jia family fell so simply in a dream of red mansions. It was like a building falling. These families form cliques for personal gain and are so rotten. If the descendants are unworthy, the huge family fortune can fall into decline in a matter of seconds. The surname of the Duke of Xinxi was Sure. Now he's been demoted by 2 levels and is now a third-rate earl. The next generation will be a third-rate viscount. The surname of the Duke of Xianxiu is similar to that of the Duke of Xianxiu. They all have a declining moral character, and they still drag people with dash yuan, thinking that they are nobody. Pooh, I didn't count to 13 in my heart. Keep these 2 children in custody, and then find someone to send them back after the last group of pavilion guards return. The 3 of them discussed for a long time before the 2,000 households resigned. Sun Mingxie let out a sigh of relief and ordered his men to go to nearby villages to buy some ingredients. This time, after receiving the order for them to set off again, I am afraid it will be the second day. Just after drinking a cup of tea, I heard a report from the inner prisoner, and Zhao Yin asked to see him. Zhao Yin, what is he here for? Oh, the 4 bastards are so angry with Lian Ji. I guess they are here to intercede. Sun Mingxie smiled slightly and put down the teacup. Let him in. Zhao Yin got on the carriage and bowed in front of his face. I have met His Highness the Third Highness. Sun Mingxie stretched out his hand. No gifts, come and sit. Zhao Yin sat down carefully at the bottom, and Thuja came over to serve tea. He held the teacup and hesitated to speak. Sun Mingxie knew what he wanted to say, but deliberately didn't mention it, waiting for Zhao Yin to speak. As a result, Zhao Yin whined for a while, only said some innocuous things, then resigned and left. After getting off Sun Mingxie's carriage and walking out for a while, Bao Lai, the young man next to Zhao Yin, asked softly, Second Master, didn't we say that we would like to ask for a favor from the young masters of those 2 families? Looking at your look, could it be that you can't do it? Zhao Yin sighed. You have never seen him before, and you don't know the aura of His Highness. His eyes were staring at me, and I was frightened. Besides, I think His Highness knows what I'm going to say. His Highness knew what I wanted to say, but he still did it. Then the reasons I can find are not reasons in His Highness's heart. Then why do I talk so much? I'm just ruining my image in His Highness's heart. Bao Lai doesn't understand, but he knows how to flatter you. It turns out that Second Master has thought so much. Second Master, you are so smart and have a lot of thoughts, he said and gave a thumbs up. Zhao Yin spat and slapped Bao Lai on the head. What do you know? I'm smart. I'm so smart. Alas. He shook his head, sighed, and went to his carriage. Bao Lai touched his head and felt baffled. But Zhao Yin had already left, so he could only follow him at a trot. Second Master, don't walk so fast. The road here is not easy. Please watch your step. I'm not blind yet, Zhao Yin said angrily. He was also worried. The Jia family was in the wrong team when they appointed the crown prince last time. It was only through his grandfather, Ronghua Gong Jia Deishan, that the second Roning mansion was preserved. It is for this reason that Jia Shi and Jia Jing cannot enter the court. Jia Shi just had an empty title, and Jia Jing was simply shunned in the Taoist temple. By Zhao Yin's generation, the Ning mansion had completely collapsed, and Zhao Yin himself was powerless, because, according to Jia Daishan's plan, his generation should take the imperial examination and become officials to revitalize the family. But Zhao Yin has a headache when studying and is afraid of being tired when practicing martial arts, so he doesn't rely on either. The family's focus has gradually begun to turn to his uncle's eldest son, Jiazhu. Zhao Yin was unwilling, but had no choice. But in this capital dandy went to Liaodong for training. Zhao Yin seemed to have seen his own opportunity. Your Highness, can he hug this thigh? Sure enough, my father won't blame me. I can't say that it is only in line with his wishes that I do this. Sun Mingxie closed this secret edict, actually a letter from home, that the emperor had given him with a relaxed expression. When Prince Neo returned home, he was severely beaten on the head and face by his father. After 20 minutes, I was already lying in bed and couldn't get up. The boys from the Sure family and the whole family were also beaten 20 times. This time, no matter how their grandmother and mother begged for mercy, it was of no use. No matter whether these 20 boards are watery or not, at least their attitude is shown that that's the end of it. However, the Sure family rushed to send another son over. This one was a bastard. The carriage of this son of the Sure family was not as luxurious as that of the previous one, and he only brought 20 people with him. He was a few years younger than the previous Shitsi, and he looked almost the same as Tsinming-che. The facial features are similar to Sure Shitsi's, but his appearance is more refined. As soon as Mr. Sure came, he asked to visit Tsinming-che. For the first time, Tsinming-che didn't see him. Mr. Sure will come back the next day. After coming 3 times in a row, Tsinming-che agreed to see him. As soon as they met, Mr. Sure knelt down to Tsinming-che and kowtowed 3 times without being able to stop him. I will apologize to His Highness, the Third Highness, on behalf of my eldest brother. The Sure family has offended many people. I hope that Your Highness, the Third Highness, will forgive me. Tsinming-che looked at him with interest. Master Sure, please get up and sit over here. Mr. Sure made some humility and sat down at Tsinming-che's repeated request. His buttocks were only 1/3 of the way up the stool, and his back was straight. Tsinming-che laughed. Why are you so nervous? Mr. Sure, Your Highness is not a tiger and does not eat people. Mr. Sure didn't dare to say anything. After chatting awkwardly for a while, he seemed to have made up his mind and said in a low voice, Your Highness, this trip is not easy. If Your Highness does not mind, I am willing to do my best. Oh, are you here to surrender? Tsinming-che glanced at him with interest. Young Master Sure should know that His Highness's mother's house is the residence of Duke Li Gua. The implication is that if anything happens to him, he can turn to Duke Li Gua for help. Mr. Sure was silent for a while, and then whispered, Your Highness, the common people know that they have no official position, and the words of loyalty are very abrupt in the eyes of Your Highness. However, this time we go to Liaodong. The common people still have time to accompany Your Highness. Your Highness, if you have as ordered, the common people will do their best. I hope Your Highness will give the common people a chance. Tsinming-che smiled. Okay, I'll remember what you said. Mr. Sure also resigned and left. Tsinming-che asked Yabai to pack a bag of snacks and bring them to him. Thuja, the minister is here. Go check this Mr. Sure. Yes. Tsinming-che was only 14 years old. In the eyes of many people, he was just a child with a yellow mouth. So why did he become loyal to him? Could it be that the eldest prince and the second prince's people came to trick him? What's the inside story? However, the Sure family was quite sensible and sent another son over. The Nyo family and the Ho family treated it as if nothing had happened and sent it back without anyone coming back. You know, although he, the third prince, is leading the team this time, there are 2 pavilion guards Qianhu in the team. If you want to show your face in front of the emperor, it is also a good opportunity. The sun is declining and the rivers are sinking. I don't know what these people are thinking if they don't seize such a good opportunity. It was hopeless. Coincidentally, not long after Mr. Sure left, Zhao Yin came again. Zhao Yin also expressed his willingness to devote himself to Tsinming-che's disciples. What's the matter today? Tsinming-che murmured in his heart. However, after thinking about it, he now has a mother who was born in the Ligwood Duke's palace, and he is also a talented person full of poems and books. Although this matter was done selflessly, it showed his majesty and prevented others from treating him as a pornographic person. Mouth children. It is just a normal thing for someone to be loyal. However, Tsinming-che still needs to investigate whether to accept these 2 people. After all, he is a dignified prince, and he is not a rag collector. No matter what gadgets he has to put them in his snakeskin bag. Next, the whole team sped up and rushed to Liaodong almost day and night. Hurry to the military camp and round up these people. Otherwise, I don't know what kind of trouble could be caused outside. After traveling for more than 10 days, we finally arrived at Guangningwai. only a few days away from the important town in Liaodong. Many people in a team could not hold on and finally fell ill. Not only those young masters, but also many family members were also sick. Thinking about it, these people used to pretend to be powerful in Beijing. Although they look strong, they're actually just donkey dung eggs with a shiny surface. After a bumpy trip, their young master and uncle finally had horses and cars to ride in, but they basically walked on their legs. And it's only spring now, and the further north you go, the colder it gets. If they can persist until Guangning Wei gets sick again, they have perseverance. After investigating the situation, Sun Mingche ordered everyone to station at Guangning Guard. Guangning Guard, as the name suggests, is a guard station, a place where troops are stationed at the border. There are no big cities around, but there's a town based on the health center. Sun Mingche is still a prince after all. Now that he is here, the commander of the guard station must come to receive him. By coincidence, the commander's surname was Chao, and he was one of the subordinates of the late Duke Jia Daishan. Since we want to eat this meal, we can't have it with Guang Sun Mingche and the commander. He and Qianhu and Zhao Qianhu also have to go, and the salary dandies from each family are also indispensable. This meal was really lively. The table is filled with delicacies from mountains and seas, and jade, dew, and fine wine. The dishes include bear paws and deer tendons, abalone and sea cucumbers, hump fish lips, bamboo fungus, and mushrooms. The wine is 8 steamed and 8 dried Bazin wine, which is said to dispel cold, activate blood circulation, strengthen yang, and nourish the kidneys. There are also silk and bamboo singing and dancing, and so on. There are even 2 beautiful maids around each person who are urging them to drink. They have slender waists, fair skin, and beautiful appearance, sweet voices, and charming smiles. He often tastes wine with his cherry lips, making those high-ranking disciples intoxicated. Sun Mingche was deeply disgusted by this extravagant dinner and such extravagant sounds. But the commander was a third-grade official, and in front of so many people, he had no choice but to give him face. So he used tea as an excuse to replace wine with tea because he was too young to drink. He tried to take a sip. This wine was at least 50 degrees. Sun Mingche's current body is only 14 years old. He didn't want alcohol poisoning to damage his nerves. If you become a blind fool, you're doomed. Commander Chao looks down on him if he doesn't drink. His body is more important, at least more important than this slight look down on him. The banquet didn't break up until the 3rd watch. Everyone at the table was drunk. Sun Mingche was conscious because he had not drank alcohol, but he was just slightly sleepy. Arriving at the arranged bedroom in the mansion, Yabai opened the door and invited Sun Mingche to enter. But there were already 2 people in the room, a pair of twins Jiaoyi, who were more beautiful than the other maids. Her eyebrows are like distant mountains. Her eyes are like autumn water. Her face is like peach blossoms, and her body is slim and graceful. The one on the left wears a blue and dark green embroidered dress with silk and glass hairpins, and the one on the right wears a pink embroidered pine, plum, and bamboo ribbon skirt, and a filigree gemstone comb. The 2 mutton-fat, jade-like wrists were loosely covered with gold armbands, and their thin white fingers were wearing silk and field jade rings. Slave Lan Yen, slave Fenwu. The 2 people's voices were melodious and charming, and they said together, "I will serve His Highness the 3rd Highness to bed." Sun Mingche looked at the twins and thought a lot for a moment, but he didn't show it at all. Yabai immediately called the eunuch to change Sun Mingche's clothes, but left the 2 maids aside. "I smell of alcohol at the table. Prepare some water so I can take a shower," Sun Mingche told Yabai. At this time, Lan Yin recommended herself. "I will allow you to serve His Highness in the bath." Sun Mingche didn't say anything, but he moved his eyebrows, and Yabai understood what he meant. He stepped forward and scolded, "Your Highness hasn't spoken yet, so how can you speak? Just stand aside and wait for instructions." These sisters were originally raised with fine clothes and fine food, specifically to win over the powerful. How had they ever received such harsh words? At that moment, the circles under her eyes were red, like 2 delicate flowers with dew on them, and they stood aside in grievance. Sun Mingche only brought 4 personal attendants, and bathing was not convenient in ancient times, so eunuchs had to go in to serve him when he took a bath. When he felt comfortable after bathing and came out, he saw that the soothing incense was lit in the room. The bed had been made, posy was stuffed in it, and the twin flower maids stood obediently on both sides of the bed. Ming-che didn't need to say anything. Yabai rushed forward and extinguished the incense burner. If you don't know how to serve, don't serve blindly. Our Highness has never used this kind of soothing incense. It is too smoky and chokes people. We need to ventilate it now. Your Highness, please move to the side room and wait for the people below to ventilate. Go to bed. Blue smoke and pink mist were about to shed tears. The beauty is in tears, and I feel pity for her. But Ming-che was so hard-hearted that he left without even looking at her. The two inmates quickly opened the windows to disperse the smell. After the scent of the soothing incense is almost dissipated, I close the windows again and light the heater in the house to heat it up. In the side room, Your Highness, may your Majesty ask, has your Highness thought about how to deal with those two women? Thuja asked softly. Ming-che said meaningfully, this is not a matter between the two women. If I don't keep them, I won't give Commander Chow face. What if I stay? Then do my words still count? Don't forget, I said that women are not allowed in the team. As long as I accept it, no matter how I deal with it, they can follow suit. Where did the instigator come from? I can't set this precedent. Yabai smiled at the right time. I am a stupid official. I wonder if your Highness has any clever ideas. Ming-che thought for a moment and said with a smile, Yabai, please call someone to teach the two maids the rules of serving here. Remember, the tougher, the better. Thuja thought for a moment and suddenly realized, don't drag them to bed, just treat them as ordinary maids, so naturally you don't think much of them. Because in the final analysis, the servants who serve are just objects, and those who can go to bed and serve are just high-end objects. Ming-che asked the internal supervisor to teach the two maids the rules, which meant downgrading high-level items to low-level items and making them difficult to use. If it is a high-end item, it would be very rude to the owner if it is not taken away after being used on the couch. Are you looking down on me? But if it is an ordinary object, then it is just for daily use that it's normal not to take it away. Besides, Ming-che also has an advantage. He is young, only 14 years old, has not yet married a wife, and may not necessarily understand the affairs of men and women. So there is no problem at all in using the bed warmer maid as an ordinary maid. Your Highness is smart, and I will submit to you. Yabai bowed, and Ming-che smiled and waved his hand. Go and do it quickly, I want to sleep. Yes. The next day, although he slept late last night, he always had a healthy schedule and only woke up 2/4 of an hour later than usual. Get up and drink a cup of light tea, use some soup to cushion your cushion, then go to the school field to do a set of boxing and play with bow and arrow for a while. After sweating a little, do a little scrub, eat something solid, and then start the day's work and study. It can be said to be very healthy. That day at Commander Chow's house, he had just finished practicing bow and arrow, and was taking the warm, wet handkerchief from Thuja's hand to wipe his sweat when he suddenly heard an exclamation. Looking back, there was a girl of 15 or 16 years old, with two maids, standing shyly, fidgeting with the handkerchief. Ming-che is well-nourished and loves to exercise. He grows up very quickly. He is only 14 meters tall at the age of 1.7, that he was born extremely well, with handsome eyes and slender eyebrows, looking forward to flying like a god, with the back of an ape and the waist of a wasp, and the posture of a crane and a dragon. It doesn't look childish at all. All he had to do was stop there. He was truly a talented person, as beautiful as a tree in the wind. The girl looked at him and blushed. Ming-che glanced at it lightly, pretended not to see it, turned around, and left with Thuja. This girl wears a fairy bun, and her childish look is still there in her eyebrows. She still looks like a girl. She wears emerald filigree beads in her hair, pearls in her ears, a longevity lock inlaid with red treasures, and a gold collar hanging on her chest. The upper body is worn with beige embroidered plum blossoms on the straight collar and the breast. The lower body is tied with a deep lake blue gold brocade embroidered skirt. The waist is wrapped with a double-ringed 4-in-1 Rui Palace sash, and a rui pile embroidered sachet is dropped, and a little of the toes are exposed when moving, showing off the feet. Satin shoes embroidered with gold thread and beads. She stood there, her treasure shining like a splendid flower of wealth in the world. But this is the front yard. How did she get here? Who is it again? Sin Mingche glanced over, and Yabai immediately understood it, and found out the result at noon. It turned out that the girl was the concubine of Commander Chao's family. She was born from a concubine and was quite favored. As for why he happened to appear on the school grounds, that's a matter of opinion. My lord, the commander, seems to have made up his mind to give me a woman. Seeing that I didn't like the twin flower maid, I replaced him with his concubine. Sun Mingche's face was gloomy. This way of stuffing a woman without respecting his wishes made him feel very offended. Moreover, after the age of 16, a man's yang energy is strong. If he knows about things in the account too early, he will damage his kidney qi, which may lead to problems in the future. What kind of intentions do those dirty adults have in giving women to 14-year-old boys? In the talent show, no concubines are allowed, only legitimate daughters. If you send a concubine to a prince, you won't even be able to get a concubine, and you can only become an ordinary concubine. Of course, if this prince can reach the top in the future, that's another story. But Commander Chao's actions didn't seem like he was optimistic about investing, but rather he was casting a wide net to catch fish. Sin Mingche had no doubt that if Commander Chao was given a chance, he would give women to every prince's back house. How many boats you want to step on depends on whether the boat wants you to step on it. However, this time it was a young lady who was given as a gift. Although she was a concubine, looking at her dress, she was also a favored young lady. You can't spend time with those two maids in the same way. Moreover, the concubine also had to choose a good day and be carried into the palace in a small sedan chair. He cannot just bring her with him, as he said. So, if you can refuse, that's fine. If you can't, let Commander Chao send someone to send the girl to the capital. Then Sin Mingche will go to Qintian prison to pick a good time and bring her in. It's just a decoration. Sin Mingche can still afford this mouth. After thinking about how to deal with it, Sin Mingche finally raised his brows. He now has to think about how to report this matter to his emperor father, so that his father can believe that he is not forming a clique for personal gain. What a bastard. Commander Chao really annoys him. There are so many things to do for him. Isn't it good for everyone to keep official business? We must fix these crooked things. A few days later, Commander Chao came to see Sin Mingche again. However, Commander Chao did not mention sending his daughter away first. Instead, they sent a batch of specialties first. Quangninwei is close to the sea, so there are many seafood. This is not seafood to eat, but pearls and red coral. One box contains white beads the size of soybeans. One box contains pink beads the size of soybeans. And one box contains 6 golden pearls the size of longan. The red coral given by Commander Chao is not a decoration. He knew that the thing was too conspicuous. So he took 2 boxes of fine coral beads. Each one was red, plump, and round. Add a box of gold beads the size of soybeans, making a total of 6 boxes, which are the local specialties he gave. These beads, whether worn or set into jewelry, are excellent things and worth thousands of gold. Courtesy to people, there must be something to ask for. I just don't know what Commander Chao wants. Sin Mingche pushed the tray with the box a little further with his fingers and looked directly at Commander Chao meaningfully. Master Chao, you have no merit and no reward. Commander Chao laughed. Hi, Your Highness, these pearls and corals are basically worthless here. I'm afraid that it would be too shabby to give this special product as a gift. He waved his hand and lowered his voice. But as for requests, I really have to ask you for something. Sin Mingche raised his eyebrows. Master Chao, please speak. Commander Chao touched the back of his head and said with a smile, Ahem, children are debts. I have a daughter, and I spoil her. That morning, she came to the front yard to see me, and it happened that I met you, His Highness, and then... Oh, Commander Chao gritted his teeth. Your Highness, Long Zhang Fengzi, my daughter made a fuss with me when she saw you once and wanted to be by your side. You have also seen my daughter, I don't know, Sin Ming-che had expected this for a long time and pretended not to know. It was just a glimpse of that day. How could the lady of your house make such a decision for the rest of her life? I owe you so much love. I'm so ashamed that I dare not accept it. Seeing this, Commander Chow added, "To be honest with you, Your Highness, my daughter is a concubine born from my concubine. She's also quite favored by me. I also want to find a good family for her." But after meeting His Highness once, she said, "It doesn't matter if she marries you as a wife. How can your future husband be as good as His Highness? Even if you're a concubine and a maid, I want to follow His Highness." Sin Mingche's actions are difficult to describe. This, Mr. Chow knows that I am only 15 years old, and there is no one in the house now. Isn't this inappropriate? After some hesitation, Sin Mingche finally agreed. However, he also put forward his own conditions. "Master Chow, I came here this time to do the work ordered by my father. There are no women in this team. As a prince, I should naturally lead by example. Why don't you send a young lady to the capital first? When I return to the capital one day, I will report to my father and then carry her into the palace. Of course, Miss Chow is a concubine and a good concubine, so I will naturally write down the concubine acceptance document." Commander Chow hurriedly agreed. After leaving the documents and discussing the matter, the two of them were polite before leaving. After Commander Chow left, Sin Mingche tilted his head slightly and told Yao Bai, "Make a list of these things and inform the commander. I wrote a letter to my father and sent it back to the capital, asking him to find it." Two people together. When performing their duties, the imperial guards had to report secret information to the emperor on a regular basis. Giving this letter from home to the cabinet guard to send back can be said to be the fastest and safest method among the existing methods. TSK, this is such a big deal. A third-grade commander, an official with real power, and a high-ranking official in the border areas must give him a concubine as a concubine. Only a ghost can believe in love at first sight. Even if Sin Mingche is so good that a little girl who has never seen him in the market will think about her day and night, and not even think about food and drink after meeting him, it makes no sense that this father who loves his daughter should indulge her thoughts. Find an outstanding subordinate. Marry the concubine as your wife, and win over your confidence, so your daughter doesn't have to be inferior to others. Isn't it good? It's a gift, and it's a gift for his daughter. Commander Chow must have something up his sleeve. Instead of flatly refusing, which would look bad on both sides, it would be better to agree and see what Commander Chow wants to do. However, as a son, he naturally has to tell his own father about such a thing as soon as possible. Sin Mingche rolled up his sleeves, slowly studied the ink, thought about his words, and slowly started writing. Not long after, a thick letter was written. Roll the letter into a roll, stuff it into a bamboo tube, and seal the bamboo tube with wax. When the wax was about to solidify, Sin Mingche took out his private seal, dipped it in cinnabar, and stamped a private seal on the seal. It would take no more than 10 days for this letter to reach his emperor's father's case. After settling his worries, Sin Mingche felt relaxed, straightened his clothes, and prepared to go for a walk outside. Before he could leave the hospital, Fenwu came to block him. What? You haven't been scared by the rules yet." Sin Mingche looked at her with interest, wondering how she could dance. The young lady is very happy when she knows that her long-cherished wish has been fulfilled. She specially sends this gift to His Highness. Fenwu lowered her eyebrows and lowered her eyes, raising her hands flat and holding a handkerchief. This veil is made of plain satin, with a poem embroidered on it, which is Red Beans by Wang Wei. There are also a few red beans embroidered on the corners for embellishment. Seeing that the font of the poem is hairpin, small, regular script, I am afraid it is the girl's own font. On the lower right corner of the veil, a small name was embroidered with plain silk thread. Hongdo. It should be Miss Chow's maiden name. Red Beans, Chow Hongdo. Coupled with this poem, the girl's thoughts are clearly revealed. Haha, I don't know what her father is thinking, but how much does Miss Hongdo know? Sin Mingche remained calm, picked up the handkerchief, and returned to the study. Naturally, People from the Chow Mansion will not be allowed to approach the study. He raised his hand and threw the square handkerchief into the charcoal basin, picked it up twice with a poker, and turned over the red-hot coals to burn the handkerchief cleanly. It's true. Falling flowers are intentional, and flowing water is ruthless. Sun Ming-che really didn't have the heart to share these little things about the love between his children, because he is finally ready to enter the world in the game. He checked his character panel again. The equipment on the character is the white Tang Sect disciple uniform, and the weapon he is equipped with is Wuing given by the master. The Qinggong skills are equipped with Wan Duckweed and Blue Leaf Sui Feng. The hidden weapon techniques are equipped with Meteor Juiwe and Chinchio Snow. The boxing and kicking skills are equipped with Blue Leaf Sui Feng, and the 3 hidden weapons are equipped in the parry column. Techniques and boxing skills are all equipped. In the internal skill column, the one equipped is Naturally Chiyu internal skill, Thousand Tribulations. The broken silver in the backpack has accumulated to millions. If all were taken out, it would be such a huge sum that it could even cause inflation. But in the game, these silvers are just a series of numbers. Sun Ming-che bought some golden sword medicine and a batch of dry food for the journey from his master, then took a deep breath and solemnly clicked the button in his mind. Jianghu. Confirm. Enter Jianghu. You rode in a carriage and slowly left the school where you were raised. The carriage is swaying, not knowing where it's going. Suddenly, the carriage stopped suddenly. You encountered a robber who robbed the road. Robber, I opened this road and planted this tree. If you won't live from now on, leave the money to buy the road. What is your choice? 1. Hero, spare your life, all the money for you. Hand over 5,000 taels of broken silver. 2. How dare you commit robbery in broad daylight, and with everything clear? Dog thief, take your life. Start fighting. Can you bear this tone? It must not be possible. Sun Ming-che chose the second option without hesitation. Just fight. No one is afraid of whom. Enter the battle. A page appeared on the screen, with 2 little white figures on the left and right. The little man on the left represents himself, and the little white man on the right, holding a big knife, represents the robber. At the top of the screen are the status bars of 2 villains, one with him and the other with the bandit. The red one is the health bar, and the white one is the internal force. There is also a thin bar below, representing the speed of each of the 2 people's moves. That a move can only be made when the speed bar is full. After a move is made, the speed bar will be cleared and recalculated. Sun Ming-che's speed bar is basically twice as fast as that of the robber. He got the upper hand. Sun Ming-che used the move Clouds Rising and Snow Flying, and Shadowless flew out of his hand, invisible and shadowless, like clouds and snow, piercing the robber's heart. The robber waved his knife to block. Block failed. You caused 500 points of damage to the robber. The robber fell. Congratulations, you won the battle. Robber dash. If you dare to kill my brother, I will fight with you. The second robber challenges you to a duel. This line of text is bright red and shiny. Hey, you've already killed one. Are you still worried about the second one? Enter the battle. Congratulations, you won the battle. There are 5 robbers in total. Their health bars are not high, and they are not martial arts masters. When Sun Ming-che killed the third one, the remaining 2 ran away. After searching the bodies, there was nothing except that one person had a stainless steel sword on him. Although he didn't know what the use was, mosquitoes were still meat no matter how small they were. Sun Ming-che chose, pick up, and collected all 3 large knives into his bag. Coachman, okay. Young hero, please get in the car. The carriage continues to drive forward. You consumed 2 servings of travel dry food during the journey. The dry food is hard and not delicious. Car driver, young hero, ahead is Yangzhou City. Get off the bus. The new map has the same character as the Sherman map. It is a bit like the block diagram that Sun Ming-che learned in high school in his previous life. Thin lines connect the boxes, and text is written in the boxes to indicate where this place is. There are several boxes at the bottom of the page with names written on them, which means people who are currently in this place. Just poke this box, and you can communicate with this person. Suburban Tongsiman Tongsi Street. Below Tongsi Street, is Yangzhou West Street. Walking further along Tongxi Street, there are places such as Moneyman's House, Yangzhou Martial Arts Hall, Yangzhou Government Office, Yangzhou Barracks, and in station on both sides of the road. Going forward, there is Central Square behind Tongxi Bridge. 10-mile-long street runs through Central Square and along the direction of Tongxi Street, and further past is Gongquan Street. Sun Mingche browsed the map curiously. He bought 100 Jishua powder from the drug shop on Gongquan Street with the drug shop clerk and was surprised to find that the medicine boiling bowl in the drug shop can also be used to prepare tangmen of poison. This is much more convenient. There are all kinds of people on the street, although they're just in a box. What about Haker, middle-aged Taoist priest, gangster leader? Their frames will also change positions, as if it is really a street with people coming and going. After going around in a circle, Sun Mingche returned to the central square and met two people, young Master Ouyang and his aide. Young Master Ouyang. Where did this little thief come from? He dared to steal the secret book of our white camel villa. Maid. If the young master takes action, he will be able to capture the thief. Sun Mingche clicked, Young Master Ouyang. Young Master Ouyang. Young hero, you are well on your way that a thief stole the secret book of my white camel villa. The thief was possessed by a secret spell, and the snake on my body can recognize him. Young Master Ouyang. I wonder if young master is willing to help me catch the thief? Thank you very much. Sun Mingche readily agreed. It seems that the first step of this mission is very simple, but it is a bit annoying that in short, you have to go from place to place and chat with everyone to determine whether this person is a thief who stole the secret book. Although it looks crude, Sun Mingche can still gain some interest from it. After wandering around for a while, the target finally settled on middle-aged Taoist priest at the end of Gongquan Street. Young Master Ouyang. Young hero, this is the thief who stole the secret book of my white camel villa. My snake has recognized him. Please, young hero, take him down. Middle-aged Taoist priest. Young hero, let me go. I will share this secret book with you. How about it? After looking at the upper and lower lines of words, Sun Mingche's heart moved. Is it still an option? The Tang sect is a neutral sect, and its justice value column is always 0. It seems that this choice now is the key to determine whether he will be evil in the future. To be honest, the new cheats are not very attractive to Sun Mingche. After all, his potential is not enough to upgrade the existing cheats. Cheats are something you can't chew off more than you can chew. Therefore, Sun Mingche chose to help young Master Ouyang without hesitation. You initiate a discussion with a middle-aged Taoist priest. Middle-aged Taoist priest. Tisk, damn it. Battle begins. The middle-aged Taoist priest's weapon is a long sword, and his health bar is much longer than that of the bandit, with a full dash health points. However, Sun Mingche's health bar is more than 4,000 points, twice as long as that of a middle-aged Taoist priest. Moreover, his attack power is stronger than that of the middle-aged Taoist priest. It seems that victory is within grasp. You won the battle with a middle-aged Taoist priest. Middle-aged Taoist priest. Oh, what a good boy. Young Master Ouyang. Haha. You thief. You can't catch him without restraint. I want you to taste the pain of being eaten by thousands of snakes. At this time, a masked man suddenly appeared. Masked man, why are you in such a mess? Middle-aged Taoist priest. Forget it. Chung Yaojin shows up halfway. Masked man, stop talking. I'll take you away. The masked man escaped with the seriously injured middle-aged Taoist priest. Young Master Ouyang. Humph, there are actually accomplices. Young hero, let's chase him quickly. After saying these words, the two small frames of young Master Ouyang and Maid disappeared. Sun Mingche chased after him without hesitation. Finally, at the end of Gongquan Street, Ninghai Bridge, we finally caught up with the masked man, and the seriously injured, middle-aged Taoist priest had disappeared. Masked man, hey, let your horse come over here. Young Master Ouyang. Young hero, defeat him. Let's chase him quickly. Don't let that thief escape. Masked man is barehanded, but his kung fu is better than middle-aged Taoist priest, and his health bar is also up to 3,000. In addition, there were 3 men in black, intercepting together. Masked man, young hero, have you thought carefully? Do you really want to be so aggressive? Sun Mingche did not hesitate and chose sparring. It took a little more effort to deal with the masked man, and it took about 3 moves. Masked man, ahem, young hero has good kung fu. I have recorded what happened today. The Green Mountains remain unchanged, and the green waters always flow. We will see you there again in the future. The masked man ran away. Master Ouyang, TSK, looking at his skills. That masked man looks like the famous king of hell in the world. Master Ouyang, the king of hell, is a man with a ferocious nature and strange martial arts. He has been operating outside the customs for many years and has never set foot in the Central Plains. That I'm afraid there's something fishy about this meeting. Master Ouyang, alas, this matter still needs to be discussed in the long term. Thank you very much, young hero, for what happened today. Master Ouyang, this is the thank you gift promised to the young hero. See you again in the future. Welcome, young hero, to my White Camel Villa as a guest. 500 plus 1 plus 10. You receive a gift from the young master of White Camel Villa. Sapphire pendant *1. Sun Mingche arranged for his character to stay in an inn, then put his consciousness into his backpack and took out some silver. The silver was cast into a small rectangle, 1 or 2 pieces. Because it was small, the inscription on it was not long, but it indicated the weight and the casting craftsman. You must know that ancient silver is a universal precious metal, and whole silver ingots like this must be anti-counterfeiting. That is, they must be stamped when they are cast, which generally includes the time, place, purpose, quality, official name of the silver ingot, craftsman's name, etc. As for the silver ingots that Sun Mingche got from hanging up and practicing, and the reward he got this time, the inscriptions on them are obviously not from the same batch. TSK, the game interface, is obviously so simple, but when you take out the things inside, the authenticity is surprisingly high. What does this mean? There was insufficient evidence, so Sun Mingche did not make any wild guesses, but silently kept the matter in mind. It's interesting. At this time, a person suddenly broke into Sun Mingche's room in the inn. Intruder! Young hero, help! The man in black opened the window and barged in. Man in black, since you saw me, I won't let you go. Brothers, come on. The man in black challenges you to a duel. What a disaster. Fortunately, there were only 3 men in black, and each of them had only 1,000 HP. Sun Mingche could easily deal with them one by one. The intruder was covered in blood and already unconscious. You apply the styptic powder on the intruder's wound. The bleeding on the intruder stopped. You decide, 1. Leave directly. 2. Take the intruder to the medical center for treatment. Having already killed the man in black, rescued the intruder, and administered medicine, Sun Mingche might as well be a good person and stay the course. So he chose to. Even if it's a gift, he doesn't have to fight on his own. The label with intruder will always follow him. As long as Sun Mingche arrives at the medical clinic, the problem can be solved. Medical doctor. This person is seriously injured and needs to be treated here for a while. I will prescribe a prescription right now. Please go and pay the medical bills first. A good person goes to the end and sends Buddha to the west. Sun Mingche didn't need this little money, so he paid 500 taels of medical expenses in advance. Medical doctor. Young hero, give me a month to make sure this man is cured. At this time, a window suddenly popped up on the screen. The mission of the divine soldier starts. Please return to the hospital in 30 days. Sun Mingche was so excited. Divine soldier mission. What a surprise. However, it seems that this is a long-term task, so Sun Mingche is not in a hurry, gathers his mood, and turns his consciousness from the game interface to reality. The other side, in the inner courtyard of Commander Chow. Girl, it's a good thing, a great thing. Your little hooves are so anxious. Yes, this slave is rude. The little maiden Tsing tried her best to suppress the joy on her face and spoke in a slower tone. The Third Highness not only wrote the concubinage document for the master, but also asked the master to send the young lady to the capital ask for a stay in Xintian prison, and then lift her up. Entering the palace, the maid in green shirt smiled and congratulated Chow Hongdo. It can be seen that His Highness values Mississippi. With Mrs. Character, how can any man not like her? Chow Hongdo's eyebrows were filled with joy, and he was already silently taking stock of what he should bring into the palace. Leaning on the couch by the window was a beautiful young woman, gorgeously dressed, with a hint of sadness in her brows. Hongdo, it's my aunt who has caused trouble for you. If you hadn't crawled out of my belly, I might have been able to seize the position of concubine. Now she can only be a concubine with no name or status. I'm also happy for that little bit of attention. Chow Hongdo sat next to the beautiful woman. Auntie, I seek wealth and danger. If you hadn't given birth to me, I don't know where I am. So how can I blame you? However, according to my status, if I want to be a real wife, I can only look for a scholar. If I am looking for a scholar, even those who can pass the exam are not young. Do you want me to marry a poor scholar and then bet on him? In the future, if you marry a military attaché, you are marrying one of your father's subordinates. But if a military attaché wants to make a contribution, he has to go to the battlefield. I don't want to be a widow early. Otherwise, you want me to marry into a merchant's family and be the head wife? I don't want it. And if that's the case, the people in the main courtyard won't know how to laugh at us too. In this case, I can only be a concubine. It's better to be a concubine than to be a concubine of the prince. One day, I can't say that I will be the concubine of the emperor. Chow Hongdo raised a pretty face, full of ambition. The beautiful woman sighed. The matter is a foregone conclusion. Whatever I say is useless. However, I can still teach you how to make a man focus on you. The mother-in-law and her husband retreated, leaning on the couch hand in hand, and began to whisper. Chow Hongdo spoke so bluntly that his cheeks turned red and his eyes twinkled, but he endured the shame and took the initiative to continue listening. Also, did you know that our master turns out to be a subordinate of the old Duke of Rongwa Mansion in Beijing? A glint flashed in the beautiful woman's eyes. The old Duke has passed away for a long time, but the honorable family in Beijing still cares about him. His eldest granddaughter can now work as a female official beside the queen. If you come to the palace, you can also contact her. The Third Highness is still young and has not yet married a concubine, so he must not allow any concubine or concubine to come in front. But if you win His Highness's favor, he may not be merciful to you. Remember, care for your love first, and then your heirs. If you give birth to a child before the princess comes in, even if it's a girl, your prosperity and wealth for the rest of your life will be guaranteed. Chow Hongdo gratefully held the beautiful woman's hands. Auntie, I've written down. My daughter will definitely succeed. Unfortunately, their plan was destined to be a mirror image. Sin Mingche had no intention of touching her. In the blink of an eye, another 5 days passed. Why, are those people okay? Sin Mingche's eyes were cold. The reason why the group never made the trip was because a few young men in the group kept complaining that they were ill and couldn't go on the journey and needed to recuperate. This place is only a few days away from Liaodong capital city, but it's actually stuck here. Come here. Call the imperial doctor. Your Highness will personally take the imperial doctor to visit the sick. Find out what disease they have. Since my father entrusted these people to me, I am responsible for myself. At that moment, Sin Mingche invited 2 imperial doctors and 2 palace guards. He took 2 internal prisoners with him, and the group visited them one by one. The first family was named Fong, and he was Fong Onbin's younger brother. Because he was the youngest son in the family, he was pampered and lawless. This time he had no choice but to follow him, and he was wilting along the way like a spinach that had lost water. As soon as I entered the small courtyard, there was a boy running in at the door. Sin Mingche winked, and the people around him took the young man into custody and asked him to follow the group. Sin Mingche's face was as cold as frost, and he entered the courtyard at lightning speed. Everyone in the courtyard stood with their heads bowed, not daring to move or make a sound. They were as quiet as shrubs in the yard. Arriving in front of the room, Sin Mingche stopped at the door and raised his hand to signal to be silent. Then there were faint sounds of obscenity coming from the room, men's teasing laughter and women's coquettish laughter one after another. Master Fong, please stay for 2 more days. Ronger can't bear to leave you. You little goblin, but it's not me who has the final say whether you can leave or not, alas. Then let's take Ringier away with us. Ringier will go with you to the ends of the world. Humph, the third prince is just a prince, and he is just trying so hard to torment us. Perhaps thinking that Sin Ming-che did not allow women in the team, and not wanted to lose face in front of a beautiful woman, young Master Fong began to complain loudly. He is just a prince. Of the many princes in the past dynasties, how many have become emperors? My sister still has a prince in her name. Who do you think she is? What does he think he is when he uses chicken feathers as a ceremonial arrow? Sin Ming-che smiled coldly and bumped the door. The inner warden received the order and stepped forward with 2 steps. With a bang, the 2 exquisitely carved wooden doors flew out. There were 2 ding-dong sounds, and the smashed door shaft fell miserably to the ground, just as miserable as the expressions of the 2 people in the room. I heard that young Master Fong was seriously ill and could not get up, so His Highness specially brought the imperial doctor to visit him. The 2 people in the room were disheveled, leaning on the couch and hugging each other. There were various clothes scattered on the floor. The table was crooked and the chair was overturned, and there was a sense of lewdness in the air. Seeing the door being knocked open, Mr. Fong wanted to curse, but when he turned around and saw who was standing at the door, he swallowed his words back in his stomach. His face turned white, and he rolled off the bed on the spot and knelt down. On the ground. It is no exaggeration to say that Sin Ming-che's handsome figure with backlight at this time, in Mr. Fong's eyes, is the king of hell who is seeking his life. The woman named Ronger was very discerning. She crawled into the corner of the room, praying to God and praying to the Buddha in her heart. She just hoped that no one would care about her. 3 halls, hall. Your Highness. Mr. Fong became a stammer. Spare your life. Please spare the little one. The little one's mouth is full of spitting feces. The little one deserves to be beaten. As he said that, he knelt on the ground and slapped himself on the left and right. But he saw that the boy he sent to guard the door was giving him a wink. I'm afraid the third prince didn't listen to all the nonsense he said. Damn it. Sin Ming-che thought for a while and suddenly smiled. Go and invite Jiao Yin to me. After a while, Jiao Yin came over panting with 2 young boys. On the way here, he also heard what was going on, and he couldn't help but feel uneasy. He should have done nothing wrong, right? Leonaire, I called you here today to ask you to help me with something. Someone had already brought tables and chairs for Sin Ming-che to sit down. He sat in the yard, holding a cup of fragrant tea in his hand, and said calmly, I have to do something here today. As for you, please tell me about this matter within 1 day. Gentlemen, let us set off as a group within 3 days. In short, Sin Ming-che is going to be ruthless today and take care of Mr. Fong, and let Jiao Yin think of words to spread the word. It is best to scare those dudes into honesty and let the team set off within 3 days. Doesn't Jiao Yin want to be loyal? Then get this done. Otherwise, if he has no merit and no ability, why should he accept such a younger brother? He is not an old hen, and he has stuffed a bunch of chicks under his wings. Speaking of chickens, Mr. Fong was so frightened that he crowed, really like an old rooster that had lost its feathers. His normally handsome cheeks were red and swollen, which showed that he really didn't hold back when he hit himself. It's just, he looks like a pig's head now. Sin Ming-che glanced at the 2 imperial doctors. Master Fong was sick and couldn't take the medicine. He drank it with difficulty and kept vomiting it out. He had to be fed by others. Do you understand? The 2 imperial doctors looked at each other with excitement. This is very interesting. Even though young Master Fong is now in great shape and delicious, as long as Sin Ming-che says this, then it will be true. In short, you boil Mr. Fong some medicine and force him to vomit, then let him finish vomiting and then continue to pour the medicine. When will it be over? Let's see when the Third Highness will calm down and finish. If you don't beat or scold them, you will punish them to death. The two imperial doctors worked in tandem to check the pulse of Mr. Fong, who was lying limply on the ground. As expected, he was in very good health except for a bit of overindulgence. Then there is no big taboo about taking medicine. After all, if someone dies, the two prescribers of the medicine will be the first to suffer. The two of them discussed how to make a prescription and asked someone to go down and boil the medicine. This time, the medicine is not boiled slowly with a silver spoon, but directly in a big pot. I cooked 3 pots at the same time. According to Tsin Mingche's hint, although this medicine is too square, it is dark, bitter, astringent, sour, and sweet, with all 5 flavors, and the smell of it makes people sick. After the first pot was boiled, Tsin Mingche filled a bowl himself, blew it to cool down, had Mr. Fong stand up, and put the medicine to his lips with his own hands. Seeing this, Yabai immediately stretched out his hand to open Mr. Fong's mouth and said, "Hey, Mr. Fong, you are so sick. Why don't you take medicine honestly? No wonder you can't get better. Mr. Fong, you're going to delay everyone's schedule. You also know that Our Highness took over the task assigned by His Majesty and worked hard to get it done. I am a low-ranking official, so I ask you to be considerate and considerate of my family. Your Highness, take your medicine well. Look, Your Highness has personally brought the medicine to your mouth, right? Just work your mouth and swallow the medicine." Tsin Mingche poured the bowl of medicine for him with his own hands, then handed the bowl to Thuja. "Yabai, you're the supervisor next to me, serving me personally. I have wronged you a lot today. Please feed young Master Fong well and take medicine. Subordinate to obey." The medicine pot boils and then becomes empty, and when it becomes empty, it boils again. Mr. Fong vomited all over the floor, became incontinent, and was dirty all over. At first, he yelled at the top of his lungs, "A scholar must be killed but not humiliated." Tsin Mingche didn't even need to speak. Yabai blocked him and went back without saying a word. I don't know what kind of scholar Mr. Fong is. Did he get a reputation through examination? Or does his family come from a scholarly family? Or maybe he comes from a distinguished family. How can he say that a scholar can be killed but not humiliated? The Fong family was founded on women's skirts and did not rely on fame, nobility, or honor. This has always been a pain point for his family. Now in this situation, this matter has been exposed again, making Mr. Fong twice as embarrassed. Thuja's method of instilling medicine is also a little more crude. It was only now that young Master Fong was covered in filth and lying on the ground as limp as mud. Tsin Mingche put down the teacup and said slowly, "That's all." He glanced at the yard again, where Mr. Fong's 4 young men were shaking like quails. "Take good care of your young master. In 3 days, we will all be on our way." After saying that, the group of people left as fast as they came. The eunuch at the end of the team paused when he walked to Zhao Yin and said meaningfully, "Second Master Lien, please don't let my highness down." Zhao Yinlian claimed that it was, and his back was soaked with cold sweat. Today, he had seen the third prince's methods. This method of pouring medicine caused Mr. Fong to suffer a lot and lose a lot of face, but did not hurt the roots very much. It also left no trace, and there was no evidence for Mr. Fong to complain in the future. It can be said that it relieves hatred, establishes authority, and makes others unable to grasp the handle. After seeing how powerful this third highness was, Zhao Yin's loyalty became even stronger, and he used all the care to get this thing done. Not to mention, Zhao Yin is really a bit crooked in this regard. In one day, he had 2 dinners with the young masters. When he returned that night, everyone started to pack their luggage. Those who said they were weak, acclimated, vomiting, and diarrhea all seemed to have taken the elixir of the Supreme Lord. They wanted to come in front of Tsin Mingche and jump around on the spot to prove that they were healthy. No matter what, Tsin Mingche's goal was achieved. Early in the morning on the 3rd day, a group of people hitchhiked and set off in a hurry. "Your Majesty, the third highness has a good idea." Gao Qianhu rode his horse to Tsin Mingche's side and laughed softly. "I wonder if your Majesty knows that His Highness is capable of such thunderous tactics?" This was a sign of goodwill, and also a hint that the cabinet guard would definitely report the matter to the emperor, so that Sin Mingche could defend himself to the emperor as soon as possible. Sin Mingche smiled slightly. The young master of the Fong family made rude remarks. I wonder if the cabinet guards heard him clearly. Gao Qinhu chuckled. Of course I heard it clearly. This is a comprehensive report. It is no exaggeration to say that no one heard what Mr. Fong said, and he just took it for granted. As long as word spread, his end would not be better than Sin Mingche's action. Gao Qianhu and Sin Mingche looked at each other and smiled. To be honest, these dandy boys, except for their own family members, would be annoying to everyone if they were left outside. Even these cabinet guards felt happy when they saw Sin Mingche taking action to deal with those people. Since the journey is not far, why not just hurry up and drive there, so as not to have to rest in the wilderness tonight? Sin Mingche asked He Qianhu for his opinion. He Qianhu naturally agreed. After all, the two pavilion guards under Qianhu were all on horseback, and each of them was highly skilled in martial arts. Even the infantry were used to marching in a hurry. I walked slowly before, just because those young men couldn't bear it. Who would have thought that Sin Mingche would give them face, but they wouldn't want it? Sin Mingche would be so shameless and ignorant of his shamelessness and lack of sense of propriety. So there was no need for Sin Mingche to think about them. Just hurry up and get on your way. Anyway, it's only 2 or 3 days' journey, and no one will die at the bumpy spots. Immediately the team began to accelerate. Ancient carriages did not have spring shock absorbers, let alone inflated rubber tires. Although we took the official road, it was not a modern, smooth asphalt road, but a bumpy, lush road. It was okay when we were driving slowly. Although there were some bumps, it was within the tolerance range. But now when we accelerated, it was so mind-numbing that I felt like I was vomiting all my heart, liver, and lungs out of my mouth. It was so jarring. It's hanging. Immediately, I felt unbearable and vomited. It's okay for someone like Jiao Yin who has some horse riding skills. He can get out of the car and change horses. Although his butt and thighs are a little tired, it's better than being dangling in a jar. And those guys who can't even ride a horse can only endure it in the car, wishing they could tie themselves to the car to prevent their heads from banging against the roof of the car. After 2 days of bumpy ride, we finally arrived at Dusi, Liaodong. When we got off the bus, many dudes had tears in their eyes. They have never suffered like this in their lives. But they didn't know that the suffering was yet to come. Pang Rue, the commander-in-chief of the Liaodong Dusi, is the official of the Duke of Li. In this case, there is no need for Sin Mingche to treat him like Commander Chao. He immediately asked the entire team to be pulled directly into the military camp, where they camped directly and everyone stayed in tents. Do you still want to have banquets, high beds, soft pillows, beauties, and wine like before? Dream. Just stay still. Sin Mingche had no intention of being too close to those nobles. After all, the emperor's decision to name him under the name Liang Guifei was tacitly assigning the power of Duke Ligua to him. He only needed to maintain a good relationship with Duke Ligua. Yes, there's no need to connect in series and make friends with each other. Otherwise, let the emperor's father see it and say, "Oh, I am still strong and healthy, sitting well on the dragon throne, but you, the son, are not honest. What are your intentions? Isn't this the old man drinking arsenic, seeking death?" Besides, this was an errand sent by the emperor to Sin Mingche. Compared with whether the emperor was satisfied or not, the feelings of these dandy children who had no say in the family were completely insignificant. Although Duke Li had a close friendship with Pang Rue, the commander of the capital, Sin Mingche couldn't establish a relationship with him as soon as he came over. It would be too ugly to look at him. Therefore, Sin Mingche only asked about the daily routine in the military, asked for a school ground, hired a few cooks who could make big pots of rice, prepared various ingredients, and started to make a military training plan. This plan will also be sent to the emperor's father's dragon case in the future. Sin Mingche naturally had to write carefully. The daily routine in the morning and evening must naturally follow the schedule of the soldiers in the army. But the food must be better, at least the taste must not be too bad, and it must be cooked cleanly. As for the training content, Sin Mingche scheduled it for 15 days, with a rest day in between. At that time, if the cabinet guards don't have enough time for overt inspections and secret visits, they can just add more time. As for the training content, Synmingche directly refers to modern military training, standing in a military posture, walking in unison, and using a set of boxing techniques to strengthen the body. They can fight together. When the time comes, they will be able to show off even in front of the emperor's father. It's ridiculous that those dandies are still dreaming of sweet dreams. Let them rest for 2 days and give them a taste of the power of this military training. Synmingche was not a hard-hearted man either, so they all rested together for 2 days to catch their breath from the rush. I was informed in advance that I would have to get up early for training on the 3rd day. If there's anyone who can't get up, just drag him up and throw him on the school field. Synmingche ordered people, divided them into small teams, and gave direct instructions. When the young masters and brothers practice, their respective family members also have to practice, but they're not on the same school field. Everyone has to get up early. However, for Synmingche and the family members who came to Duke Ligwa's residence, this was just their usual routine. But for the dandies who often have banquets until midnight and don't get up until dawn, getting up early and going to bed early will cost them half their lives. On the first day of military training, half of the people were dragged out. Their clothes were messy, and some even had their shoes on. Synmingche didn't waste any words and just asked these people to line up. No matter how unhappy they are, they're not just rogues. They can't lie down on the ground and start acting bad. Moreover, in Liaodong, there's no one to support them, so the trouble is in vain. Therefore, this group of people is really waiting for military training. Synmingche didn't want them to wield swords or guns. He started practicing from standing in a military posture, then turned left and right and walked in unison. That it's not difficult at all, it's just a grind, and your legs will feel numb after standing for a long time. Some people turned left and right, and some turned around and came face to face. The two people looked at each other with big eyes and small eyes. They both thought that the other party was at fault and refused to turn first. People around them burst into laughter from time to time. The result is that everyone has to practice more until they become good. Just in time, it also tempers the impetuous temperament of these people. Don't look down on these 3 acts. They're soldiers in some miscellaneous armies who don't even know how to do this. A group of Wanjiang rush forward, trying to crush people with their lives. If you train these 3 things well and practice some chopping skills, the regular army will be no more than that. If there is anyone who is disobedient, distracted, or mischievous, they will be whipped on the calf with a thin whip made of wicker. The person who did it was measured, and he whipped it through his clothes. Even the skin was not broken, but the pain was as if his leg was broken. After cleaning it up a few times, everyone behaved. As for those family members, there is no need to be polite. If anyone refuses to obey the rules, he will be dealt with directly by military law that a solid wooden stick with a thick wrist can be struck by a man. 5 or 6 blows can teach a person to remember a lesson. Because Synmingche always had hot ginger soup prepared, not a single young man got cold that I asked for the big pot dishes. Some people disliked them at first, and Synmingche didn't like them. Anyway, if you don't eat, you won't eat. After 2 meals, you'll be sensible. After 6 or 7 days, these dozen or so people had their appearance. Apart from anything else, the frivolous air in my body has gone a lot, and my body has become straighter. Although it was winter, the flesh and skin had darkened a layer after being exposed to the sun all day long, making it look more masculine. After 10 days of hard work, Synmingche gave these people a day off as planned. Your Highness, do you really want to let them rest? Thuja was inevitably a little worried, fearing that they would let go and go wild again. Synmingche smiled and shook his head. After training them for 7 days, these few are barely able to hold their breath. If I give them a day's rest, they will probably fall asleep, and they won't be able to squeeze out the energy to do evil or commit crimes. Besides, I just let them rest for 1 day, but I didn't ask them to leave the military camp. All of them are old men, and there are sentries guarding them going back and forth. Even if they cause trouble, there is a limit. Just give them a beating behind closed doors. Yabai smiled apologetically and said, Your Highness is thoughtful. Okay, don't flatter me here. I want to eat chicken noodle soup. Do we still have the chicken salt we brought? There are many more. I will instruct my subordinates to do it for you. This chicken salt is made by using hundreds of chickens to boil the soup, then freeze it into ice and put it into a drip-shaped container. When the clear chicken soup melts, it drips down and the fat and colloid become jelly and remain on top. Then add salt to the separated clear chicken soup, boil it, dry it, and grind it into powder to become fragrant chicken salt. This thing is durable and won't break easily as long as it doesn't get wet. When you are out and about, put a little in hot soup and it will be very delicious. After finishing the hot pot base, Ming pointed to this to continue his life. Put chicken salt in the clear soup silver noodles, sprinkle some chopped green onions, fry a fried egg on top, and it's a complete meal. Seeing that Ming could only eat this, and it was so delicious, Thuja's eyes turned red with distress. Your Highness, why don't we go to the city? We have a rest today. We can go around to relax and eat some good food. Ming waved his hand. You don't think I'm tired? Looking at these people, I'm only one head and too big. I just need to eat something simple. It takes another hour to go to the city and back. If you have this time, you might as well let me rest for a while. Then, I will ask the eunuch to go to the city and buy some for you. Ming thought for a while. Okay, take 2 merchants. No matter what big store or stall, as long as they're clean and flavorful, they will pick up and buy some. By the way, tell those people that if they want to buy something, find someone to follow them. Just remember, queue up for me honestly and don't pay a penny less. Otherwise, if you let me know, you'll have to deal with it. Your Highness, do you still need to bring their people? Thuja feels aggrieved for his Highness. Ming laughed. As I said before, who asked me to take on this job? Even if those young masters are twice my age, now I have to control them and take good care of them, just like their father. You still had time to joke. Just treat me as your Highness and be their cheap daddy for a while. Thuja also laughed. Your Highness just needs to be open-minded. I'm afraid that your Highness will feel unhappy and get stuffy, which will hurt his own body. Unpleasant? I'm not unhappy at all. No matter how much they scold me in their hearts, they have to behave in front of me and don't dare to say half a lie. Otherwise, I will hear them. Ming sneered coldly. Last time, the young master of the Fong family was given medicine. This time, medicine is expensive in the camp, so let's give it gold juice. This golden juice is the product of human grain reincarnation. It is also called human yellow, which is just a good name. It is also used as medicine, but most of the time, it is used to induce vomiting. If these gentlemen were fed this stuff, it would be fatal. Yabai also knew that what Ming said was angry, so he said a few funny words before going down to make arrangements to buy food in the city. Ming had a rare moment of leisure, so he calculated the time, laid down on the bed, half closed his eyes, and began to explore the game system. Calculating the time, the intruder should not be cured yet. Ming can explore Yangzhou City, and there is no telling what side missions he may encounter. Alas, in this era of lack of entertainment, Ming has to lead by example. Apart from exploring in this idle martial arts, there's no fun anymore. Medical doctor, young hero, are you here to visit this person? Medical doctor. He has woken up, but his body is not fully recovered yet. Please ask the young hero to come in and talk to him. Ming entered the medical clinic backyard, and the intruder was lying on the bed. Intruder, young hero, I dare not say thank you easily for saving my life. I will definitely repay you. Intruder, my surname is Yuan, and my last name is Su. At this time, the label on the screen changed from intruder to Yuan Xiu. Yuan Xiu, my family has been forging weapons for generations, and we have a secret forging secret that has been passed down from family to family. This is why we suffered a disaster. Yuan Xiu, please help me take revenge, young hero. I am willing to dedicate the art of casting with both hands. Can you help Yuan Xiu? Whether casting secrets? I think this is the so-called magic weapon mission. Ming naturally chose yes. Yuan Xiu, thank you so much, young hero. Tip, please wait for Yuan Xiu to recover before proceeding with subsequent tasks. Then, a line of enlarged red text was drawn. Please protect Yuan Xiu's personal safety. Ming shuddered. The meaning behind this sentence is that someone may come to assassinate Yu Wenxiu. If you encountered an assassination before, there would be no prompt. But now that Sin Mingche has agreed to avenge Yu Wenxiu, if another enemy comes, the system will directly issue a banner warning in front of Sin Mingche, asking him to take action in time to save Yu Wenxiu's life. If Sin Mingche really waited honestly for 30 days, what he might have waited for was not the news that Yu Wenxiu had recovered from his injuries, but the news that he had been killed. It seems that fate is on Sin Mingche's side. By some mistake, he came over in advance to take a look like this. Now Sin Mingche was completely relieved and started walking around Yangzhou City again. To be honest, with this block diagram-like screen, there is no good scenery to enjoy. But who said that in this era, there's simply too few entertainment options? Even with such a simple game interface, Sin Mingche still enjoyed playing it. After shopping around, collecting the profits, and upgrading each skill to level 500, Sin Mingche went to the Songa Tower at the end of Gongquan Street and bought some dishes with the waiter. Speaking of which, he has never tried to eat the food in the game. On the one hand, there have been people serving everywhere before, so bringing out a dish out of thin air was too eye-catching. On the other hand, there is no need for those who live in the palace with fine clothes and fine food. This time, Sin Mingche was really greedy. With a thought, the fruity-wood roasted chicken he just bought at Songa Tower was in his hands. The aroma of roasted chicken, the incense of fruit charcoal, the sweet aroma of honey during the roasting process. Come to your face. Sin Mingche's mouth was filled with saliva, and he tore the roasted chicken in his mouth directly without taking any utensils. The skin is crispy, the meat is juicy, and the saltiness is pungent with a hint of pepper, which soothes Sin Mingche's long-suffering belly. After putting the whole roasted chicken into his stomach and using his internal strength to destroy the corpse and eliminate all traces, Sin Mingche breathed a long sigh of relief and fell even more in love with this game system. At this moment, an NPC suddenly talked to Sin Mingche. Qin Luer. Hey, hello, young hero. Qin Luer. I saw the young hero lingering in Yangzhou City for several days. Do you intend to buy some property in Yangzhou? Whether. Sin Mingche raised his eyebrows. Natural choice is Qin Luer. Then please, young hero, come with me. With that said, he led the way to Yangzhou West Street and strolled along. Qin Luer. If the young hero wants to live for a long time, the house on the east and west streets will naturally be the first choice. These places are mansions and villas. To take care of them, you need to hire a few servants. Qin Luer. If you think those houses are too big and empty, you can also choose the house in this alley. Hey, all the small streets are connected to the main streets, and there are alleys extending in all directions. The houses inside are much more delicate. Qin Luer. There is also the smaller house, which is for people to stay anywhere. Generally, the location is not very good and the layout is small, but the price is cheaper. Qin Luer. However, if the young hero buys a house, he can remodel it according to his wishes. I just don't know what the young hero likes. Qin Luer. Here is a furniture store. Here is a calligraphy and painting store, and there sells gold, stone, and antiques. Young heroes can also buy them and decorate their homes. Qin Luer. Now, let me take the young hero for a walk. How are these houses and locations? Sin Mingche did everything he could and followed him leisurely. Different houses have different layouts. After going around, Sin Mingche really chose a house in an alley. The yard is on the outskirts of the city, a small one with 2 acres of thin farmland. There's a well in the backyard and an old plum tree planted in the front yard. In the courtyard, there is a servant's room on the opposite side. The main room has 3 rooms in a row, divided into a bedroom, a study room, and a living room. In the backyard are a foundry room, a pharmaceutical room, and a practice room. If we want to expand, it could be said that there are no wing rooms in the front yard or the backyard. If necessary later, we can just build them one by one. Although it was a small frame, Sin Mingche really saw some interest in it. After paying the broken silver, the house became his, and he also had an extra deed in his backpack. This place is located at number 13, Yudai Village, in the northern suburbs of Yangzhou City. It is 3 feet high in the sky and 3 feet deep in the earth. Both are owned by the landlord. At the back, he also wrote the size of the land, the surrounding situation, and even the official seal, the Chinese seal, and finally his own small seal. It's kind of like that. Sin Ming She found it quite interesting and wanted to explore more, but the little eunuch who went to the city to buy something had already returned. He pulled back from his thoughts and watched with some astonishment as the 2 family members came back carrying an iron pot. That's such a big pot. It's like the kind that is placed on the stove. 2 people each carry an ear, and the pot lid is covered with a wet hand towel to seal the seams to prevent leakage. What is this? Sin Ming She said with great interest. Back to your highness. This is a famous local dish, goose stewed in an iron pot. The young eunuch rushed over happily, and the heat on his head steamed out a stream of white smoke that went straight into the sky. Look at your virtue, Yabai scolded with a smile. How can his highness eat such a big pot? The little eunuch smiled and directed the people to put up the pots. His royal highness knows that this dish is most delicious when eaten in this pot. We paid a lot of money to ask the store to let this guy eat and bring it back to us. As soon as the thick lid of the pot was opened, the salty hot steam hit your face. The skin of the goose meat in the pot is golden in color. The taste is pure, the meat is rotten off the bone, and the texture is tender. Just looking at it and smelling it will make your mouth water. Potatoes cut into hob pieces were stewed in the pot, with a layer of crispy bean sprouts spread on the surface, and a circle of golden corn tortillas stuck along the edge of the pot. Sin Ming She was stunned for a moment. It's really an authentic local specialty. With such a big pot, do you think your master is a pig? He smiled and shook his head. It's not easy for you guys to come here today. Sit down and bring us chopsticks and bowls. Let's share it together. After a rare and comfortable lunch, Sin Ming She went out to take a walk to eat. Suddenly, a man came towards me, clasped his fists and saluted, and said loudly, I heard that His Highness the Third Highness has extraordinary martial arts skills. Pang Jun, the young man, came here to learn from me. This man has a dark face, is tall and strong, but has a slightly childish look between his eyebrows. He is probably about the same age as Sin Ming She. Yabai was stunned and was about to scold him when he saw Sin Ming She raise a hand to stop him. Sin Ming She said with great interest, I don't know, Commander Pang Rue. Who are you? Your Highness, it is my father. Today you come to compete with me. Does your father know? Why should I repay my father for this matter? Sin Ming She smiled. This kid was afraid that he was being used as a weapon. However, having just finished a delicious and comfortable meal, Sin Ming She became somewhat interested in playing with these people. I've heard for a long time that Governor Pang's family has excellent marksmanship, so I'd like to learn from him. After that, he stepped forward. Please, Mr. Pang, lead the way. Let's make some good gestures. In addition to hidden weapons, the Tang sect also has other skills that a hidden weapon is a hidden weapon that no one else knows about, coming and going without a trace. That's called a hidden weapon that, if others know about it, see it, or even lock it, it becomes an open weapon rather than a hidden weapon. Therefore, fighting in public like this still requires a weapon as a cover. On the school field, Sin Ming She waded up, chose an iron eyebrow-leveling stick, and changed his hidden weapon to an iron lotus seed. After all, it was just a discussion, and the subject of the competition was the son of Commander Pang Rue. It would be hard to cause a bloody scene, which would not look good on both sides. Pang Jun still held his usual weapon, a bright silver plum blossom spear. The gun was replaced with brand new red tape, and the gun tip was wrapped in thick cloth. For some reason, the crowd quickly gathered around. There were young generals in the army, many soldiers, and even the dandies and their family members came over, with full interest on everyone's face. Sin Ming She was unhappy. Could it be that he was here to watch the monkey show? He was also more certain that there was someone behind this incident, and he wondered if there was any backup plan. Thinking of this, Sin Ming She became more cautious. The two stood on both sides of the school ground, holding weapons. Your Highness, please. Pang Jun cupped his fists and shouted. It means letting Sin Ming She take the lead. Sin Ming-che was not humble either. With a flick of his long stick, lightning shot out like a poisonous dragon coming out of its cave or a spiritual snake spitting out a message. Pang Jun was also surprised. According to his opinion, the third prince has lived in the palace for a long time, and even if he has martial arts, he is just practicing behind closed doors. How can he compare with what he has gained through hard work in the army? Unexpectedly, this head-on stick would restrain him. Fast, accurate, ruthless, and stable. All four elements are present. In a daze, the head of the stick was in front of me. Pang Jun dodged in a panic, but his long stick suddenly turned into a swipe, cutting across him like an autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves. He quickly raised his gun to block. With a clang sound, the gun and stick collided, causing his wrist to go numb for a moment. The power is so strong. Pang Jun suddenly looked around, looking at Sin Ming-che with surprise and admiration in his eyes. In the military, strength is the last word. This long iron stick weighs 38 kilograms, but is as light as a feather in Sin Ming-che's hands. When used, it is as light as a heavy weight. The stick moves at will, as gracefully as a swimming dragon. One move was moving the clouds and looking at the moon, followed by the golden boy swinging circle. And he actually firmly controlled Pang Jun's spear. Sin Ming-che's wrist shook, and he used the bong formula. With a pop sound, Pang Jun released his spear. Right now, 3 dark lights flew from nowhere. 2 of them went straight to Pang Jun, and 1 went straight to Sin Ming-che. At this time, Pang Jun's spear fell to the ground, and he staggered back, unable to avoid it. Sin Ming-che sneered coldly in his heart. As expected, here he comes. In an instant, he mobilized his internal strength, moved faster, and threw the long stick in a circle. With a ding sound, an arrow swung out. At the same time, he turned his body slightly to avoid the hidden arrow heading towards his heart. Sin Ming-che stepped forward, moved his wrist slightly, and a row of iron lotus seeds shot out, just as they collided with the last hidden arrow in the air. It's too late to say, but it's too late to say that. When the rabbit rises and the falcon falls, the dust has already settled. Sin Ming-che slowly stood up straight, patted the light dust on his clothes, and looked around. Everyone around him was silent. Pang Jun stabilized his body, still in shock. In the military camp, someone actually attempted assassination. Sin Ming-che sneered. Why don't you report it to Governor Pang quickly? Everyone present, please stay here first. Those who were assassinated were one of the dignified third princes, and the other was Pang Rui's biological child. The location was still in the military camp that was supposed to be very safe. This matter has become a big deal. Someone had already presented the 3 short arrows that were shot away to Sin Ming-che. The short arrow was no more than 2 palms long, dark in color, slotted at the tail, and extremely sharp at the tip, even with barbs. If you look closely, you will see that this is not a feather arrow, but a crossbow arrow. Feather arrows are used in bows, while crossbow arrows are used in crossbows. These 3 hidden arrows were obviously fired from hand crossbows and were part of a long-planned assassination. But just now, everyone's attention was on Sin Ming-che and Pang Jun, and no one noticed where the 3 crossbow arrows were fired from. Even Sin Ming-che only noticed a general direction. At this time, Pang Rui hurried over with his troops and gave Pang Jun a slap in the face. You bastard! How brave you are! Who asked you to compete with His Highness, the Third Highness? You act so recklessly. This slap did not hold back at all, and half of Pang Jun's face became red and swollen at the sight. Trying to make dough for steaming steam buns, he covered his face in silence, lowered his head, and stood behind his father. Your Highness, this child's ignorance put His Highness in danger, and yet His Highness rescued him. I feel very ashamed in my heart. Pang Rui bowed his head to the end. How could Sin Ming-che let him perform this ritual properly? He hurriedly stepped forward, supported Pang Rui to prevent him from really bowing down, and said with a gentle look, Dudu Pang, why should you be so polite? It's just a discussion. What's the harm? It's just the villain among them who caused a lot of trouble. But it's more serious. Please check it out and get to the bottom of it. This is the duty of an old minister. Peng Rue stood up straight and frowned. How about the governor come and talk to me in the tent? Your Highness, please go ahead. Captain, please. The two of them entered the tent side by side. Naturally, people from the cabinet guard and Peng Rue came and took everyone present away for investigation. Sun Mingche and Peng Rue sat down on the left and right sides. Peng Jun stood hesitantly at the bottom with half of his face swollen. Peng Rue slapped the table. You traitor! Why don't you recruit me from the truth? Why on earth do you want to compete with His Highness the Third Prince? I just heard people say that His Highness the Third Highness has outstanding martial arts skills, and I feel unconvinced in my heart. Peng Jun murmured. Don't accept it? If you don't accept it, you could go directly to His Highness the Third to discuss it. Why do you do that? Peng Rue was almost mad at his stupid son. Sun Mingche picked up the teacup and took a sip. Brother Peng Jun, don't worry. Think about it. Where did you hear it? Who said that I am good at martial arts? Peng Jun turned his head and thought hard for a while, when his eyes suddenly lit up. I remembered. Now that I think about it, someone is indeed instigating it. According to Peng Jun's recollection, he heard someone talking during morning exercises, saying that the third prince went to practice martial arts every morning and seemed to have extraordinary skills. He seemed to be the most skilled in martial arts among the current princes. Others retorted, saying that princes generally practice martial arts to strengthen their bodies, so why not go to the battlefield? Therefore, even if the third prince can compare with other princes, he will definitely not be able to compare with them, veteran soldiers who have experienced in the military and have seen blood. Another person was dissatisfied, saying that the princes were well-fed, slept well, had meat every meal, and had all kinds of good teachers to teach them, so their martial arts skills must be better than those of wild men like them. Some people sneered and said that these princes and grandsons were really lucky. They didn't work hard and didn't know how to eat, but they had to work hard to get a higher status. The others chatted away and compared Sun Mingche with other young generals, and came to the conclusion that if he had not been a prince, he might not even be as good as a young general in the army. Peng Jun felt something was wrong when he heard it. He wanted to see who was talking nonsense, but he turned around and saw no one at all. He kept muttering in his heart, and later he secretly observed Sun Mingche and felt that the third prince's martial arts must be pretty good. So he thought of having a spar with Sun Mingche in public, so that people would know that the third prince was really extraordinary in martial arts, not just relying on status. Who knew? Hearing Peng Jun tell the whole story, Peng Rue's face turned red, and he said, You idiot! You don't use your brain to do things. Can't you tell me in advance? You make your own decisions. You have shallow ideas. Nonsense, nonsense. If His Highness hadn't seen the opportunity quickly and had great skills, your father and I would have experienced the pain of losing a son today. Sun Mingche picked up the teacup, took a sip, and said comfortingly, Dudu Peng, I think the person behind this is trying to sow discord between you and Duke Ligua's mansion, whether it's me who is injured or Mr. Peng who is injured. Yeah, it's inevitable that both of us will have some knots in our hearts. Besides, those 3 crossbow arrows were all aimed at people's vital points, and their fundamental purpose was to kill people. It's just that the person behind him underestimated Sun Mingche's skill and allowed him to break the situation. Please ask Governor Peng to investigate carefully and find out what's going on. After all, I'm just a guest. It's not good to get too involved. Sun Mingche said politely. Thanks to His Highness's trust, I will get to the bottom of this matter. Peng Rue gritted his teeth and said, in his territory, people even plotted against him and even almost got a son into his life. Peng Rue hated this guy who secretly took action, not to mention that the third prince was involved in this matter, and he had to give the royal family an explanation. Let's just say that this person had almost danced in his face. If he despised him like this, he had to dig out this rat that was causing trouble in the gutter. It's not that Sun Mingche doesn't want to investigate on his own, but he knows whose territory this is, and intervening in the army without permission is a taboo for his emperor father. Anyway, Peng Rue is a member of Duke Li, and the entire Duke Li's mansion is under the influence of Sun Mingche. It would be the same if it were left to Pang Rue to investigate. Pang Rue couldn't sit still anymore, and the two of them exchanged a few words, then took his simple-minded son to check himself. Sun Ming-che breathed a long sigh of relief and rubbed his wrists. To play with hidden weapons, you need not only strength, but also flexibility. You must have an inch of strength in your hands to provide explosive power, so that the hidden weapons can be fired accurately and steadily. The iron eyebrow leveling stick he played before was still too heavy, which was not conducive to the maintenance of his hands. What weapon should be used as a cover for a hidden weapon? Sun Ming-che didn't think about the outcome for the moment, so he put the matter aside for the time being and discussed it later. Before finishing a cup of tea, Thuja hurried in again and reported some not-so-good news. Someone is sick, very sick, and almost dying. This man is still a young man. It was none other than the concubine of the Shi family who had said that he wanted to be loyal to Sun Ming-che. Oh! Sun Ming-che relaxed his hands lightly, and the lid of the cup collided with the mouth of the cup, making a click sound. Have you had the imperial doctor look at it? What's going on? I've had a fever since last night. I asked the imperial doctor to prescribe medicine at that time. After drinking it, I felt a little better. After sleeping all night, the boy found that his fever was getting worse in the morning. Drinking the doctor's prescription had no effect. In the afternoon, he was still groggy. The imperial doctor was frightened. He was afraid that something was wrong, so he immediately asked the medicine boy to report it. Sun Ming-che sighed tiredly and straightened his sleeves. Let's go, call the two imperial doctors, and take a closer look at what's going on. Judging by his complexion, Mr. Shi is not a weak person. How could he become so weak after a single illness? Arriving at Mr. Shi's tent, as soon as he lifted the curtain, he was greeted by the hot smell of medicine. An imperial physician was sitting at the table with a serious expression, and there was a boy serving him beside the bed. How are people? The imperial doctor said with a bitter face. Your Highness, this subordinate is incompetent. When the boy heard this, he couldn't help sobbing. He knelt on the ground with a bang and cried, Please, Your Highness, please save my young master. Yabai scolded. How presumptuous! My Highness is not a panacea. How can he save your young master? Birth, old age, illness, and death are all destiny. What are you doing here, crying and crying? The boy was so frightened that he covered his mouth, but he still kowtowed as hard as he could. Sun Ming-che sighed and said, That's all. After all, I was the one who brought him to Liaodong. After saying that, he walked to the bed and sat down. He secretly put his hand on Mr. Shi's wrist and looked at his face carefully. Oh, what kind of disease is this? It's simply poisoning. Thinking of the unsatisfactory eldest son of the Shi family, and then looking at the bastard of the Shi family who was willing to endure hardships to follow, Sun Ming-che seemed to understand something in his heart. I'm afraid it's another family fight. The legitimate son has no future, and the legitimate mother can't stand the concubine who wants to get ahead. Even if he seizes an opportunity to get ahead, she will destroy it or even kill him. How they fight within the Shi family has nothing to do with Sun Ming-che. He only cares about whether all the young men he brought out can go back alive and whole. However, imperial doctors are not just freeloaders. They could not cure the disease in the past because they only thought about wind and cold and prescribed medicine that was not right for the disease. Naturally, it was not curable. Sun Ming-che called two imperial doctors to reveal his guess. The two imperial doctors were used to dirty things. They immediately adjusted the prescription and drank 2 doses of medicine. Mr. Shi spit out a mouthful of black blood and woke up just like that. His servant cried with joy. Ahem. Thank you. Thank you so much for your life-saving grace, Your Highness, Third Highness. I am willing to pick up the knotted grass in my hand, lead the horse, and kick it to repay His Highness. Sun Ming-che smiled slightly and did not agree. He only asked him to rest for a few days without participating in training, and then left. Sir, we will be protected by someone from now on. The boy helped Mr. Shi lie down with tears in his eyes. Mr. Shi smiled bitterly and shook his head. The Third Highness is not protecting me, but if I die here, I will cause trouble for him. For someone like me, who can't even save his own life, What can be worthy of his favor? The boy also started to frown. What he didn't see was that his master's expression gradually became resolute. The next day, Mingche led the team to resume the previous training. Under his training, those dudes couldn't help but refuse to accept their fate. Besides, with lights changing 3 times a day and chickens changing 5 every day, even if you have any evil intentions, you are too tired to use them. Just like this, another 7 days passed, and the team became more and more organized. Mingche was able to lead this group of dandies in a square formation, but the uniformity of the boxing skills still needed to be practiced. Everyone lost weight in just half a month. Others are tired and thin, but Mingche is worried about being thin. However, on the rest day of the second round, many of the guys were used to this intensity of training, and some people took their family members and servants out for a walk. Mingche was also feeling bored, so he took 2 internal prisoners, Yabai and Shuesong, and ordered 4 more to go shopping on the street. Liaodong is an important border area. Even if there are towns, they must rely on armies everywhere. Therefore, Mingche and the others went to Liaodong town next to the Liaodong capital division. Because of the limited population, the streets are not too prosperous and the buildings look a little gray. The most lively area is Sanyang Street, and the only one that shows a bit of brightness is Jixiang Restaurant, the largest restaurant in the city. Although there are no painted pillars or carved beams, there are also red lacquer, green tiles, and bluestone steps. The neatly dressed waiter stood at the door greeting guests coming and going. The aroma of the food came from the back kitchen, making passers-by sniff hard. Third master, let's go sit in this Jixiang restaurant today. How about it? Thuja inquired. Mingche nodded in agreement, and the group went to Jixiang restaurant. Invite the distinguished guests. How many of them are there? The shopkeeper was very discerning. Seeing the extraordinary momentum of these people, he came up to greet them personally. Please give us a table of your signature dishes, and give the brothers below you a large bowl of meat with white flour buns. Thuja ordered in a low voice. Find a quiet private room, a higher one. Okay. Haizi, take these gentlemen to Fu Gui Man Tang. Okay. Distinguished guests, please go this way. A thin black boy trotted over with a smile and walked diagonally in front to lead them. Knowing that Mingche wanted to hear it, Yabai asked the waiter named Haizi, "Do you have anything delicious here?" "Gentlemen, we have a lot of delicious food here." The black boy smiled. "There are cherry meat, soy sauce chicken, bacon, crystal elbow, sesame sauce sea cucumber, ginger sauce red clam, 5-spice fish, crispy crucian carp, barbecued pork chicken crop, 3 pepper loin slices, money tenderloin, pork belly, boiled white meat. You splash chicken, chestnut chicken, steamed ginseng chicken, tiger pigeon eggs, fried mullet flowers. But haha, there are some rare and expensive dishes. I only dare to tell you about them because some of them are distinguished guests. Like casserole bear paw, red braised bear paw, braised monkey head, grilled flying dragon, red braised unicorn noodles, yellow braised hump, roasted deer tendons with green onion, clear soup deer tail, fried iron sparrow, hydrangea agarwood, towering shark's fin, lantern abalone, fish lips in clay pot, grilled fish belly, osmanthus scallops, braised turtle. P.S. Modern people should not eat game. Sitting down in the box, Thuja assessed Mingche's taste and ordered cherry meat, roasted deer tendons with green onions, hydrangea agarwood, grilled fish maw, osmanthus scallops, dry roasted winter bamboo shoots, raised crabs, shredded pork, and stir-fried bracken, without asking for drinks. I also ordered a big pot of chicken stewed with mushrooms and pancakes, and let several servants take turns to eat. Mingche sat by the window and looked at the scenery outside the window leisurely. It's a really nice place. I heard that this Liaodong town was originally built on the basis of various military households. The men trained in the army and the families stayed in this city since they were young, so the security in the city has always been good. Yabai recounted the information he had found out. Although the land here is fertile, it is too sticky and difficult to cultivate. The farmer's income from hard work for a year may not be enough to feed their families. Therefore, The residents here are basically half farmers and half hunters. Sun Mingche knew that Yabai was right. Even in modern times, farming in the Northeast Plains is mainly based on modern Legion-style mechanical farming. Human farming is high cost and low efficiency, which is really not cost-effective. There is wealth everywhere among the White Mountains and Black Waters, but it is a pity that with the current productivity, it is impossible to discover it. Sun Mingche recalled the mechanical design he learned in his previous life and wondered if he could build a steam engine first. But now that he is still detained in the palace, it is inconvenient for him to do anything. Whether it is mechanical or chemical research, he can only talk about it on paper. Hey, I really want to grow up quickly, get married, open a house, and establish my own power. The steaming dishes were served one after another, and Thuja realized that he had ordered too much. Is that a vegetable plate? That's just a basin. Sun Mingche shook his head and smiled helplessly. Thuja doesn't know. Why did he forget it? The most famous thing about the food here is not the taste, but the huge portions. Although Sun Mingche has a good appetite, he can't eat too much. The sea cucumbers and scallops here are very good. Remember to buy some and let your mother and uncle have a taste. He warned Thuja. As he was talking, there was a sudden noise outside. I'm interested in you because I'm giving you face. What? Is it because I don't have enough money? Is this much enough? Is this much enough? Master, the little girl really doesn't want to sell herself. The brothel in our town is over there, called Chunguang Tower. The girls there are all more beautiful than the little girl. Stop talking nonsense. I'm attracted to you. No. Sun Mingche raised his hand to cover his forehead and signaled Yabai to go out and deal with it. Alas, why does he always get into all these bad things, big and small? Thuja is a 4th grade central prisoner. Even people who don't know what the rank of eunuch means, when they see him, they should be able to think of who his master is, unless he is a person in the palace, who is worthy of being served by an eunuch. I thought it would only be a shock, but who would have thought that Thuja would come to retaliate later? And it turned out that the one causing trouble was one of the dandies from Beijing. He was still drunk and couldn't even be persuaded. There is no reason to talk to a drunkard. Sun Mingche's good mood was completely ruined. He frowned, walked up to the dude who was still talking dirty, and kicked him in the chest. The dude was already drunk, and now he was even more unsteady on his feet and rolled down the stairs. There was a sudden silence in the restaurant. Is anyone dead? Sun Mingche said impatiently. No, not dead. Are you sober? Wake up, wake up. The dude was lying on the ground, completely awake, shaking like chaff. Sun Mingche walked down slowly, robbing a girl by force in public. Good. As he spoke, he broke off a chair leg and held it in his hand. Since you'll cause trouble if you come out, it's better not to come out. As he spoke, he swung the chair legs down hard. Click! The chair leg hit the troublemaker's calf hard and broke into 2 pieces. The dude hugged his calf, rolling on the ground in pain and crying death. Sun Mingche threw away the wood in his hand, patted the dust on his hand, and wrote lightly. The bones are not broken, but they should be cracked. You don't need to train tomorrow. Just lie in bed and take good care of yourself. Sun Mingche finally understood why the nobles headed by the 4 kings and 8 dukes in the original work gradually declined. Because if he were the emperor, he wouldn't be able to tolerate such a group of losers who would only cause trouble for him. Everyone is a national beetle. Thuja, am I too tempered? If others heard this, they would probably feel numb. Sun Mingche has a good temper. Are you kidding me? On the first day of departure, he picked up the noble children of 3 families and wiped his concubine's neck in front of her, causing blood to splash all over her face. 2 days ago, the one from the Fong family was stuffed into a bag of live medicine. Now that Mr. Fong mentioned the 3rd prince, his legs couldn't stop shaking. Today, another stick split the calf bone of this young man. Is he good-tempered? What a Tao. Let the dandies cry to him. But looking at Thuja Sun Mingche, the filter holder must be 3 feet thick. In his opinion, His Highness has been greatly wronged. A man as noble as gold and jade came to Liaodong, a place where birds can't shit, after a long journey, and he had to bring a group of dandies who were neither too light nor too serious. and they had to be trained to behave. Pooh! It's a pile of mud that can't cover the wall, but His Highness needs to troubleshoot it. They deserve it too. Not only that, you also have to deal with others, and you have to carry a concubine back to the palace against your will. It just doesn't make sense. Your Highness, you are indeed too soft-hearted. Why do you worry about these prince's children? Why should your Highness force those who are willing to fall to the upper reaches of society? Not only are those people ungrateful, but on the contrary, they're also gnashing their teeth and saying bad things about His Highness. Sun Mingche nodded thoughtfully. I think about people's hearts too well. I always feel that everyone is enterprising. Even if someone goes astray, I have to give him a hand. It's only now that I understand that there are those beast-like people lying like mud on the merits of their ancestors, arrogant and domineering, and they don't know how many years they can live, but they can live in such a way that they will never be able to live in the future. It's just a stubborn donkey. It can't move even if it's whipped twice. These beasts are so good. They can just lay still after being whipped twice. I'm still a young son. Why should I worry about being a father to them? Yabai quickly smiled and said, Your Highness is right to think so. Just suppress the discipline of these people. If you want to demonstrate to your Majesty, just pick those who have practiced well. Those who want to climb up will naturally find ways to let His Highness see them. Your Highness can just sit back and reap the benefits, so why bother to control them conscientiously? Sun Mingche pondered for a moment and sneered. Thuja, starting from tomorrow, the amount of training will be doubled. During the break, only the top 10 trainees can go out. Those at the back can just stay in the camp and raise maggots for me. As soon as Yabai rolled his eyes, he knew what His Highness was going to do, and he immediately left happily. In a blink of an eye, the eunuch Shansong came to report, and Mr. Shur asked to see him. He was the concubine of the Shur family who was poisoned and fell ill, but was discovered by Sun Mingche and survived. My dear Shur Rueda, I have met His Highness' Third Highness. I would like to thank His Highness for saving my life. This Shur Rueda was born in the family of Xianjigua. He was the same as the Jia family, and his family treated the bastard no differently. How Jia Huan was raised is how he was raised. It is not easy to lose the roots without raising them. Now, he managed to get in front of Sun Mingche as if he was trying to save his life. If he couldn't hug this thigh tightly and fall into the hands of his aunt after returning home, his life would really have to be dealt with. However, Sun Mingche does need a few people to help him run errands outside. Zhao Yin is one of them, and so is Shur Rueda. Sun Mingche asked Shur Rueda what books he was reading now and learned that he could only read and write, but he had 2 abilities on bows and horses. Thinking about it again, during the past few days of training, he was ranked among the best in all aspects, whether he was standing in military posture or learned military boxing quickly. It's not a loss if you take it. So, Sun Mingche rewarded him with a golden and white jade ring and said with a smile, My cousin Bohong often saves some riding and shooting games at home, and I will invite you to play some other time. If I have free time, Palace, I can't tell you, we can still have a glass of water and wine together. This is a chance for Shur Rueda. At that moment, Shur Rueda stood up and thanked him. Young man will live up to His Highness. The atmosphere was peaceful for a while. The next day, when training started again, these dudes started to make trouble for Sun Mingche again. Nothing more than disobedience. I can't practice anymore, so I won't practice anymore. He sat down on the ground and couldn't get up. It's like playing with children. Sun Mingche wasn't angry either. He raised his hand and called for help. He grabbed both arms, pulled them off, tied them to a bench, and started beating them with a wicker stick. We're to fight. Spanking the buttocks and thighs are areas with thick flesh and fat that cannot be damaged. The green and red bruises won't break your skin, but they will cause you pain. And the fight is in public, and whoever gives in first will be put down first. Suddenly, the school grounds were filled with cries for father and mother. The stick made of wicker is tough, and the surface is polished smooth. It hurts to the bone when hit, but the skin is not broken. These people who beat people are all veterans. Not only the tools are wicker sticks, but also big elm sticks with thick wrists for men. Wrap a piece of tender water tofu in clothes and beat it with a crackle. The sound is loud and the clothes are torn, but the tofu is still good. Or wrap a piece of pork in cloves and beat it with a crackle. The outside looks fine, but the pork inside has been beaten into a meat filling, so delicate that you can hold the meatballs. Therefore, it is just right to use these people to teach the dandies who give up their jobs a lesson. It looks like a bruise, but it will heal after just 2 days of treatment. It will be completely healed by the time I get back. What can I complain about? I can only bite my neck and suffer this loss. After sorting it out, not to mention those who dared to stand up, those who had a thief's heart but not a thief's heart, and those who had a thief's heart but not the courage, all of them were as well-behaved as the chicks under the hen's wings. Synopsis took a breath and felt relieved. When he got bored, he called Zhao Yin and Shuruida over to have a pot roast meal and chat. Pang Jun asked his father to take care of him, and within 2 days he was back to his old ways. This time he became Synopsis' little tail, following him all day long. Synopsis did not reject this honest-minded guy. The two of them fought empty-handed, and they were quite happy, each gaining something. After a few days, Pang Jun admired Synopsis even more. When he went back to tell his father, Pang Rui's impression of Synopsis became better and better. It can be said that he killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Synopsis also selected a few promising talents from these dandies and formed a special team to let them practice alone. Then they would have the opportunity to walk in front of the emperor's father. Also let his father see what his son is capable of. The training was almost done, and Synopsis was worried about what kind of training he would use next to consume the excess energy of these dudes. So he and Qianhu came to report with a smile. You could go back to Beijing. These two Qianhu came to investigate whether it was necessary to strengthen armaments in Liaodong. This group of dandies is just a cover, just a facilitator. Synopsis is also self-aware. He will not interfere in important matters and cause trouble. So he concentrates on giving military training to the dudes here. Now that things have been cleared up, it's time to leave. The two sides coincided with each other, and the time was just right. Immediately, Synopsis informed him to go down and prepare to pack his bags and leave. These gentlemen all cried with joy. They have all lost weight. The cysts on my stomach are gone. Before leaving, Pang Rui naturally wanted to entertain him. Otherwise, if we say what goes up and what goes down, the virtues of the Jia family are the same as those of Commander Chao who followed them. They were full of wine, sex, wealth, and everything. And Pang Rui was brought out by Li Guogong's Lu family. The banquet was clean and delicious, but there was no strong wine and no beauties. Instead, we invited 2 small plays and a juggling troupe, which made it lively and enjoyable for both the guests and the host. Synopsis, who was light wine, was willing to take a few sips. He sincerely toasted Pang Rui and poured wine for the 2 cabinet guards, Qianhu himself. It doesn't mean that if you become a prince and have noble blood, your ministers will obey you as a matter of course. Especially these people were either the emperor's confidants or the high officials of the border areas. He, Synopsis, was just a little concubine prince. He has no power in his hands. He just relies on the power of the emperor's father and ducally to strengthen his waist. Even so, these people didn't stumble or make trouble for Synopsis. Whatever he asked, they would do it for him in a down-to-earth manner. This was affection, and he would naturally return with respect. However, sooner or later, he will make these people truly loyal to him. After all, a soldier who doesn't want to be the emperor is not a good soldier. A prince who doesn't want to be the emperor is not a good prince either. Turn around, it's time to set off again. When they came, these young men were still a little arrogant and reluctant, and they still wanted to enjoy happiness on the way. After this trip, Synopsis took care of him, and he didn't even dare to breathe. Those who knew how to ride quickly got on their horses, while those who couldn't put a thick brocade quilt in the car, just like transporting porcelain, for fear that it would be broken on the road. Even if this is the case, these people would not dare to say even a word not. I was really scared by Synopsis. They had no doubt that if they dared to cause trouble again, Synopsis would be able to tie someone up like a sack and run for 2 miles on a horse. Synopsis is now letting go. If there are those who are disobedient, as long as they can't be punished to death, they will be punished to death. If he keeps his bones and leaves no scars, Even if he gets in front of the emperor, he will be justified. As for whether they hold grudges or not, joke. Those who are promising and want to show their faces, those who have sharpened their heads, have to behave well. They just want to talk to Sin Ming-che more and let him look at him twice more so that they can show their faces in front of the emperor. How can they talk about holding grudges? As for those who would hold a grudge against him, they were all rubbish. Even he and his whole family were in a state of dissatisfaction and declining moral character. Even if they held a grudge, what could be done to them? As long as he stands high enough, he doesn't need to pay any favors to these things. He will still lick them like a pug. Because it was a return trip, I didn't stop at Guangningwai and rushed all the way to the capital. Before leaving Liaodong, Sin Ming-che felt something was wrong. There seems to be a tale behind it. After discussing with Qianhu and Gao Qianhu, they also came to report to him with a serious face. Their group was targeted by Walla. You know, ancient cities are different from modern ones. How big is the modern city? And it has no city walls. But the cities at this time were actually small cities, with fields and villages outside, tightly packed together. In fact, large tracts of land are basically uninhabited, especially in places like Liaodong that are difficult to cultivate. That's true. From time to time, Walla cavalry comes over and wanders around for a while. After wandering around, no one may know, how desolate is it? It was a sunny day, and when I looked over, there was no one as far as I could see. That's why they discovered that someone was falling behind them. Although they couldn't see the person, they could see the dust rising from the horse, and there'll be a bit of smoke at night. But it's spring now, the time of drought. Even if the Wallis want to come and plunder, it's not the right time. Think of the worst. I'm afraid someone knows that our group of people have a high status and revealed it to Buri Good of Dulbert's department. Sin Ming-che's face was solemn. If that's the case, those behind should be the elite sent by Burigud to rob people. Cavalry is simply divided into two types, light cavalry and heavy cavalry. In ancient wars, it was a powerful war weapon with fast speed, high maneuverability, and high lethality. Especially the nomadic people, who live in pursuit of water and grass, have children who can walk and ride horses. Whether it is their own riding skills or the breed of war horses, it is difficult to compare with the Central Plains. How much does a good horse weigh? It can range from a few hundred kilograms to 1,000 kilograms. That is, nearly a ton, and it will be even heavier with armor. Then running over at a speed of 50 kilometers per hour, the man on the horse was still holding a long weapon and swiped it with a knife. You can cut off steel bars as thick as your wrist. If a row of such cavalry charged over, the army would be dispersed in an instant. The infantry were scattered, and the combat capability was basically useless. The cavalry inside is like chopping melons and vegetables. It may be faster to defeat an army of 5 people than to kill pigs. If they are really elites sent by Burigud, they will only be higher than this level, not lower than this level. They're like a group of sheep being targeted by hungry wolves. Which guardhouse are we closer to now? Sin Ming-che gritted his teeth and asked. Going further, you can enter Shanhaiguan. The nearest ones are Guangning Zhongwei and Zuo Tunwai. He Qianhu replied quickly. Send 2 good ones to find out what's coming next. Sin Ming-che pondered. Then order 3 teams. 1 team will go to Shanhaiguan to knock on the door. 1 team will go to Guangning Zhongwei and Zuo Tunwai, and the other team will return to Liaodong Dusi and report immediately for help. At their current speed, they would definitely not be able to outrun the cavalry. It was better to defend and wait for reinforcements to still have a glimmer of hope. Sin Ming-che would rather be too vigilant. But if things really come to the worst, the infantry line up. The shield soldiers are in front, the spearmen are second, the archers are behind, and the cavalry is ready. Take off the reins and wheels of each family's carriage and form a circle. The young masters of each family stay in the circle, and the family armor protects them. Good luck to all your masters. If anyone doesn't listen and is gibbering and uncooperative, he will be tied up directly by me. With that said, Sin Ming-che took out the gift Pang Rue gave him before leaving, an 8-sided golden horse spear from the carriage. This thing is expensive to make, the technical requirements are extremely high, and it is completely impossible to produce on a large scale AT that time. Peng Rue gave it to Cin Mingche, which actually meant a sword is given to a hero, and pink powder is given to a beautiful lady. Who would have thought that I might actually need it today? Your Highness, the son of a rich man, will not sit down in the hall. Why don't you go into the inner circle of the carriage together, and we will protect you and ensure that your Highness is safe. And Qianhu clasping fists. The four eunuchs, Thuja, Mountain Pine, Cedar, and Needle Pine, were shaking their hands and putting on soft armor for Cin Mingche and his beloved horse Idian. Who would have thought that they would actually encounter a battle? Therefore, Cin Mingche only prepared a set of lightweight soft armor. Fortunately, it was a complete set including man and horse. Cin Mingche smiled bitterly and said, Qianhu, these people are probably here for me. In other words, I am the biggest piece of fat in our team. No matter who hides, I can't hide. Martial arts is a one-size-fits-all thing, but Ma Shu doesn't have that many tricks to begin with. He mainly relies on his length and weight to increase his lethality. Cin Mingche learned quickly, and his internal strength was unique in the world. He could lift a heavy weight with ease, and Ma Shan could perform tricks in his hands. The overall length of the horse is about 4 meters. It is made of solid iron. There is a spear at the tail. The front section is a centimeter-long blade with 2 sides. The head of the spear is 8-edged, and it is covered with a layer of real gold to prevent rust. With 2 filled quivers hanging on both sides of the saddle, and his usual strong bow on his back, Cin Mingche stood upright, waving his hand, and the cold light shone. Your Highness, I have to say something terrible. Everyone in this team can die, but you can't die. Gao Qianhu looked solemn. I can die, and so can Qianhu. It doesn't matter if all the young men from the aristocratic families are dead. Only you have to return to the capital alive. If you have any shortcomings, even if we go back alive, we won't live long. Cin Mingche let out a long breath. Then what should I do? Leave them behind? Run back to Shanhaiguan alone? Or are you still huddled in the circle of carriages like them, waiting for reinforcements? Or being captured? 2,000 households. If I live, everyone will live. If I die, everyone will die together. Cin Mingche smiled slyly. This is the hinterland of our Dakian. If we think it is an enemy soldier, it cannot be heavy cavalry. There will not be many in number, and it is impossible to have large weapons. He turned the horse into a plate, making a rustling sound and the white grass blowing. You two say, I use the horse shaft, they use the saber. Who is more dangerous? Besides, how could they have imagined that I, a dignified and powerful third prince, would lead the army and fight in person? After a while, I will find someone to put on my brocade clothes, pretend to be the prince they think I am, and ride away under their noses. After I have distanced myself, I will take off my brocade clothes and break them into pieces, which will also attract many pursuers. I never like to be passive. At this moment, the scout came to report. The report, its aura and Tatar light cavalry, about 2,000 people, running at a fast pace. I think they can catch up in an hour. Cin Mingche raised his eyebrows. You two Qianhu, please make a decision quickly. He Qianhu and Gao Qianhu looked at each other and gritted their teeth in agreement. There was a rush, and the thousands of people formed a circular formation. On the outside was a large cart loaded with baggage. On the inside were shield soldiers and spearmen, and on the inside were archers. The cavalry waited for the local cavalry to slow down before charging. The sound of horse hooves is like bursts of muffled thunder, and a burst of dust comes from far to near. The aura and Tatar light cavalry are coming. The purple lightning under Cin Mingche's crotch snorted, and he stomped his front hooves twice on the ground. Not nervous, but excited. Here it comes. Get ready, shoot the arrow. The flying arrows were like rain, and the enemy cavalry immediately dispersed to avoid damage. The density of cavalry has dropped, and the impact on peripheral baggage vehicles has been greatly reduced. The shield soldiers formed a team of 2, holding huge shields, and resisted. The spearman thrust out his spear from the gap and took several enemy soldiers off their horses by surprise. The enemy's cavalry charged for the first time, but they didn't break up the team. They had to turn their horses around and charge again. You must know that once you make great efforts, you will be exhausted again and again. After 3 attacks, some of the shield soldiers could no longer hold on, and the enemy cavalry's horses also slowed down greatly. Sun Mingche and the 2 Qianhu looked at each other and nodded. Cavalry charge. The infantry team immediately separated 3 openings, and the cavalry rushed out like a floodgate. Sun Mingche took the lead, lying on the horse's back with his upper body, holding the middle part of the horse's pole, and charged straight towards him. The horse's weight, 80 kilograms, was considered to be light. The blade of the horse was sharp, and the head of the horse was armor-piercing. It swept across with a heavy force and immediately knocked 3 cavalrymen off their horses. When cavalry is facing off against a charge, if you fall, you will definitely die. Not to mention whether the enemy can hit the target, but the friendly troops' hoofs can't be avoided. Before these 3 people could shout, they were trampled to death by random hooves. Good boy. Judging from the armor, the man must be a nobleman and one of the leaders of the enemies. He actually speaks Chinese very well. When he saw Sun Mingche, his eyes lit up. Let me meet you. Sun Mingche was not willing to be outdone. Bring it on. The little nobleman was holding a saber. Compared with Sun Mingche's horse, it was as short as a child's toy. 1 inch long, 1 inch strong, 1 inch short, 1 inch dangerous. As expected, Ma Shu is the magic weapon of the cavalry. Sun Mingche held the middle part of the horse's shaft in his hand and stabbed, picked, prodded, chopped, and coiled. He twisted his waist and exerted force, hitting the little nobleman without any breathing power. However, there is no morality on the battlefield, let alone one-on-one. Seeing that Sun Mingche was unable to fight off this man, several Walla cavalrymen hurriedly came to help. Sun Mingche crossed the horse's chariot, swung away several sabers that were slashed at the same time, leaned on the horse's back, reined in the horse's reins, and stabbed out the saber head fiercely. The head of the spear immediately pierced into one person's body. Sun Mingche clamped his horse's belly. Zidian ran 2 steps quickly and actually pushed the cavalryman off the horse and lifted him on the head. Reining the horse again, Zidian Run immediately turned around. Sun Mingche swung the horse and threw the body over, allowing the approaching cavalry to dodge quickly. Horses are all equipped with the Lu complex. The name of this thing is gentle, but its function is not gentle. It is used to prevent the enemy from being completely pierced by the head and unable to pull it out. That's why Sun Mingche's thrusts, picks, and throws were so smooth. Sun Mingche flicked the blood from his horse's spear, then swung it again, killing 3 people in a row, but he was unscathed. Seeing how heroic and powerful he was, even though there was no one around him, they were too timid to fight. Whoever cuts off this man's head will be rewarded with 100 taels of gold. The cavalry leader could not tolerate such a situation and pointed his saber directly at Sun Mingche. Come on, kill him. But Sun Mingche is not fighting alone. The cabinet guards have already surrounded him, and the 2 parties are fighting together. Third young master, be careful. Gao Qianhu swung his sword vigorously, but he never forgot to give 1 word of advice in his busy schedule. Don't worry, Qianhu. Save a trouble, kid. Sun Mingche slapped his gold-tailed sword on the ground, and the horse's horse flew up in a circle like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves and actually smashed a man's horse head. The cold light flickers like a meteor falling into the night. The blood splashes like a falling peach blossom. Exactly. The cold light condenses on the night, and the cavalry rides on Liao, swinging the enemy's blood horizontally, breaking the soul and clearing the east wind.